Looks like we're streaming. Looks
We're
good.
streaming? Oh no. Hi, live now. As I'm seeing myself on two computers. I have the Twitch channel up on the delay. I have the Twitch channel up on my desktop while we're doing this.
Oh yeah.
What are you doing, Bob?
Tweeting.
Oh. I was just like, what's happening?
Retweets appreciated.
He's like, why aren't we doing a podcast?
I know. I feel like I was getting yelled at for being late. Not doing a podcast.
All right.
Well, at least you know to go to FRR.
FRR.
FRR?
Felt ruined.
It would make sense that Bob didn't know what you meant by FRR. Where are we going this time?
I still don't know what that means. Why is that a joke? Oh,
it's the place after Mage Tower.
Eye of the Storm.
Eye of the Storm. Have you blocked out Eye of the Storm through all
Yes.
those games?
Yeah.
All right. Close this down. All right. This one is just for me. Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic, TBC Classic, and its community. I am Bobby, also known as Blazin' Bob, and today we are joined by Mel, aka Melarina. How you doing?
Hi. I'm good. I'm here. I made it through another week. I came back on Wednesday this week, and I was joking with Yip because I was assigned to heal him at one of the raids, and I was like, you're lucky I traveled yesterday, because last week it was rough.
Well, we are glad you're back and you made it through another week, and we hope you make it through many weeks to come. And we're also joined by Ryan, aka Cognitive Pit. How are you doing, sir?
Hello. In the same vein as Mel, I suppose I am also still alive, which we can all be happy about. I plan on living out all of the weeks until that ceases to happen. So, we're doing pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Good. I will live as well until I die. Yes, that's the plan.
Just keep me alive long enough for Wrath of the Lich King, and I'm good.
We start these podcasts on
really
quite the energy for everybody.
Yeah, weird energy.
And we are also joined again on the podcast by Kim Jong-un. How you doing, healer extraordinaire?
Hey y'all. It's a little weird to be talking so much about death on the Healer podcast. It sounds like you guys are trying to tell me something, but I'm doing well.
I do remember Bushy dying, and I think Kim was assigned to Bushy. I'm just
no one's supposed to know that.
Yip survived.
That's
just
between
saying.
me, Bushy, and the spirit healer that gives you messages.
All right, cool, sweet. Well, we have not a jam-packed episode for you today, but who knows? It might be long. We don't know. We usually think it's going to be long, but I want to remind everybody. We always stream every Friday night around 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/mashthosebuttons. This week's episode, we're going to go over housekeeping, some reviews. We're going to talk about what we've been doing in WoW. Then there's a little bit of news. It's a little bit, but big. But we're going to get into that. But then we're going to talk about healing. It's going to be all about healing during discussion. We have Kim Jong-un. He's been trying some new stuff. We'll hit on as many points as we can before he has to make it to raid. So that being said, let's get into it. Yep, we had some reviews.
Hello. Yes, we did have some reviews. The first one, awesome podcast. Thank you. Hey guys, wanted to stop by and leave a review to just say how much I appreciate and love the podcast. I work for UPS as a driver and listen to the pod while at work. Unfortunately, I'm all caught up in the episodes, so now I anxiously wait week to week to hear what you guys have been doing. This podcast has made me laugh and learn at the same time, and I enjoy listening to each of your experiences throughout the week. I hope you guys continue to create new episodes every week as I look forward to each one. Jafe from Grobulus Alliance said, P.S. Mel is awesome with quite a few exclamation points.
You
Which goes
guys,
to show
it's
a little.
happening.
It's like this is like the psychology of panhandling. Panhandling for
Yep.
reviews. It
Well,
Didn't
works.
seem solicited at all. That seemed very genuine, in my opinion.
So what I
It's
find
exclamation marks.
what I
Right.
find weird and interesting all at the same time is when we started this podcast, we were really worried about talking about just what we do too much, and we didn't do it a ton early on. And then we started to do it when we went into Nax more, and people just
Because
loved
it was
it, which
kind of
is
boring early on.
it was just the weirdest thing to me that people love to hear about our little thing that we're doing, and like it's cool that they do, but it was something I never thought the show would really capitalize on, but it has many different weeks we do, and so we appreciate you enjoying our time with us. So thank you.
I also appreciate that you know how awesome I am. I think that was the emphasis in the review. I think we kind of skipped over that a little bit. So if we want to read that again, we totally can.
Yeah, it
Um,
says P.S. Mel is awesome with. It's a little small for me. I don't have any glasses
oh,
on.
oh,
Like
yeah,
7 or 8
yeah,
exclamation points.
yeah.
Quite a few.
Okay, but one thing I did want to say about this is it reminds me of, when you're watching a Netflix show and then it like goes to live and you have to wait every week for the new episode and you're just like,
Oh, I
no.
hate that.
Yeah.
Right?
Should save it up. Don't listen for 10 weeks, then come back.
No, don't do
Listen to
that.
all the old stuff. Won't be relevant anymore. It's perfect.
Perfect.
All
Perfect.
right.
Good
Well,
point.
we have a couple other reviews. Well, the next one, oof. Well, this has been a long time coming. You three really added some depth to the game experience for me. I was a Virgin WoW player until Classic was released, and I only started July 2020. I'm a troll resto shaman running on a Remulus server with guildies like Snackin, who listens regularly and once had a review read on your podcast, and Gaia slash Sixa, who is the creator of the Attune app. Oh, it's more of our
Nice.
more of our friends.
That's cool.
A very special shout out to Mel, the only damn host who understands
wow.
the healer struggle and never gets enough mentions on reviews.
Well, not this week.
Amen.
Thank
The
you.
last few weeks have been wild for me. I've had so much time off work, and I've gone from a casual player without all the heroic keys to almost bis in every slot and attuned for SS Serpent Shrine, I assume.
Yeah,
That-
SSC probably.
without the C, I can't figure it out. And one that's a shield. That's shield slam to me. And one mag kill away from
Or Soulstone to me.
TK attune. You're way further ahead on your attunements than I am, so congratulations.
Same.
I'm slacking very hard. I came into the game thinking PvE was the main theme of co-op RPGs with raids and dungeons. Just my 2 cents. I quite often have a super nice experience with ally players, questing and such, even cheering and hugging once we've killed the quest mob or mini boss. A couple weeks back, touching on all the PvP changes was crazy to hear about, and I felt for my alliance buddies. Also, with all the shit going down at Blizz, and you all voiced different meaningful opinions, was really well handled. Please keep making content for as long as Classic keeps rolling, and try to get Melderon and Def Camp on the show soon. I listen to their show as well, and it's nice to have a diverse perspective from different places. Fortunately, Bob burnt that bridge entirely. He can tell that story if he wants. Just joking.
Wait, which
P.S.
one? Which one?
Def
The
Camp and Melderon?
Melderon and Def Camp.
Oh no, actually, I have some good news after the end of this.
Oh, great. P.S. I listen on Spotify, and I don't think I can review on it, but 5 stars, gold stars, even a badge of justice. You three are awesome. For the Horde, but you had a lot of nice things to say about Alliance, so that's okay. Love from the friendliest troll shaman, Gul, aka Gula, aka Gularada. Wait, oh, we got pronounced Ghoul. Oh, yeah, nice. I switched it. I figured it out midway through. It is
You
Ghoul.
did. Good job.
or gula or gularata. We
Mhm.
figured it out. What's the good news, Bob?
That he gave a special shout out to Mel. I don't know
No.
if we touched on that.
So there's good news and there's bad news. The bad news is Mel Durant has stepped away from content creation in WoW Classic. However, when I heard that, he said he was going to continue to play as much WoW Classic. So I reached out to him and said, hey, he's still going to come on the show, and we worked it out. He's going to be a monthly recurring guest on the show. So everybody
Wow.
clap.
Right.
We've obtained the licensing rights to Melderon.
Hell yeah, dude. I was excited about it. So yeah,
Did you just say Mel, yeah?
Mel, yeah.
yeah, that was
It's
actually
just gonna get more confusing from here.
it was
Don't
definitely
worry.
Yeah,
confusing the first time we had him on the show because we kept saying Mel and he kept answering, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, I think when him and Def Camp were both on too, I think Def Camp said something like, "Hey Mel," and I was like, "Huh? I don't think that was a question for me."
But yes,
Yeah, that's always fun. I didn't want to do a zinger in the middle of the reviews, but he mentions the healer struggle, and I totally understand our healers do struggle. So we have one other review.
Oh,
Uh,
oh.
I died on High
Yeah,
King
that
Mulgar
was a
last
good one.
night.
Okay.
All right.
All right, yeah.
The next one is from Cadman, who we know now.
Oh,
Hey, how's it going? I'm a fairly new listener of the past month, give or take a couple of weeks, and I am glad that I found y'all. I enjoy that you talk about more than just news or what classes can do. My favorite part of the show is what we've been doing this past week. Mel, as someone that primarily mains a healer, I look forward to hearing you put tanks and DPS in their place when they mess up. I should have saved my zinger for later. This is ill timed. I would like to hear your thoughts on the difference in PvE healing versus PvP healing. Yip/Bob. And that's actually a good. Since we have two healers on, we're gonna have two perspectives who can probably answer this one. But
probably
Yip
the
and Bob,
same.
as someone that enjoys listening to audiobooks and being able to picture things in my mind, hearing about y'all's PvE and PvP adventures is just the same as watching a movie to me. I drive all day for work and enjoy listening to y'all. I wish it was longer or shows were put out more often. Keep doing what y'all do and stay great. 5 stars. And he cursed before it, or those are the 5 stars. One of them. Can't quite
Oh,
tell.
I just like to point out Cadvan did message me, and now I feel like we needed to spread these three out over like 3 episodes, so it wasn't like all three Mel love at the same time. Maybe like sprinkle it in, here or there. But I'll take it. I mean, this can be the Mel
It's
is
Mel week.
awesome
It's
show.
healer week, so I'll be nice. But I did die in High King Mulgar, so that's
so
those are the
Never
reviews.
gonna let
Thank you
that
guys
go.
so much.
so I
Never
think
gonna let it go.
If you don't shut up about it yet, you're gonna die again in hiking Mulgar. Okay.
so I think that'll be a good one to tackle in the discussion later, because I didn't have PVE to PvP healing in the bullet points, so that'll be a good one to move down there. Agreed?
Yep.
Sure.
A
Okay.
little bit of bait, so people have to listen to everything else.
Yep.
It's almost like I added that to the notes like really late.
It might be.
Yeah, we already had that in there. Good thinking.
Come on, guys.
All right. So, what have you guys been doing lately in WoW? Who wants to go first?
I'll start because I'm gonna steal some of what you've been doing.
Sweet.
So, it's what day would it have been? Tuesday? What day were we world PvPing? Tuesday, the first night at Honor Hold. Kim, do you remember?
I think it was it was
Uh,
Sunday the first night, and then Monday I got roped in because Sunday I hung out with Mel before she went out of
Gotcha.
town, and then
Well,
Monday I
it's
came too.
it's
it was
Sunday.
beautiful.
The horde were getting a little antsy out in the world. Their attempts on mag were being thwarted because, of course, horde don't know how to PvE. The set mechanics of a boss are just too much for horde to be able to figure out. So they came out of Magtheridon presumably and took their aggression out on Alliance hold level 60s, the most competitive PvP that they can handle on Whitemane. We had someone in our guild call for help, and Kim and I flew out there. We were doing arena at like 4 a.m. my time or something. I don't know. We were spamming out some arena, and we were waiting to start threes. We were waiting for somebody, and we decided to go out and help. And they really brought like 15 or 20 horde out here to just destroy Honor Hold. I couldn't believe what we were seeing. At first, we pushed them back a little bit, but I don't think they were expecting like a few 70s to come out. And once we saw how many there were and that Kim and I weren't going to be enough, we called for help, not just in our own guild, but across guilds. We had people from Lion's Share who came, Zilzag, who was a longtime Varg flocker, who ended up over there for PvP. And we had a nice force going. We pushed them back to Thrallmar. Then we saw them summoning. They brought out even more people, and unfortunately, they were very coordinated. There was quite a lot of them, and it was very late. And I wanted to do some threes. Actually, it was Monday night because it was our last minute. It was our last minute before Tuesday arena. So it was Monday night.
It was because it was the night I didn't come back. I just realized that. I did want to interrupt you.
No worries. And so we decide we're going to get together the next day and do the same thing that the Horde were doing to us. So we gather a bigger force. We've got Bob there. We've got Kim there. We've got quite a few from the guild. How many did we have? Do you think we had like 7 or 8 people? Was it 10 people?
Right. We had 8.
Yeah. I think 8. So we didn't exactly know what to do. You know, we're not Horde. We don't just cherish misfortune of the others. So we were letting people quest at first, but no, it's time to go to Thrallmar since they went to Honor Hold. So we head over there. There's a little bit of PvP. We make our way in. They have like infinitely spawning grunts because none of us know what we're doing. So at some point we had like 40 grunts just on us, and we had to run out and AoE them all down.
They weren't
potentially a great method of farming. But...
Well, I mean, they didn't do much damage, but there was a billion of them, and I'm like, I can only hit 4 targets at once.
And they do a knockdown, so like they weren't killing us, but they would knock me down, and then if Horde got involved too, things were getting a little hectic. But we were able to kill the Horde there, but it just wasn't enough. So we made our way up to Netherstorm. We thought, hey, let's kill them summoning. That'll be pretty funny, right? If we kill them while they try to summon up in Netherstorm at the stone. We tried Area 52. Finally, a spell check in our guild gave us a wonderful suggestion. Apparently, if you kill people outside of Black Morris, they have to have like an 8-minute run back, it seems like, in order to get to their bodies.
It's literally
and not only that,
like right where the circle ends there, to Black Morass. If you die, you spawn all the way back at the freaking graveyard in Gadget Sand or whatever, and have to do that whole walk back all the way down the tunnel. Can't take the dragon. It's a long walk.
I mean, the greatest thing though was like really, as my buddy Thick pointed out, basically it was a double stack day where both heroic and regular dungeons were BM.
Yep.
So naturally we had to BM them. So
you guys, do you see what happens when Mill's out of town? Do you see what kind of shenanigans these boys get up to? Like, let's just be real here.
No parental controls.
So luckily, I mean, we were playing at a pretty off hour. It wasn't super peak. It was probably 11:30 or something at that point, server time. So we were out there, but there was a constant flood of Horde, mainly probably because the 2 quests were that day as well too, and we killed them a lot. I think we got around 100 kills, some of the same people, but just at Black Morris, and that amount of time that we wasted of Horde it felt really good. And at one point, they were able to gather a force together. I'm sure they were talking in general chat. Alliance are camping Black Morass. We need help. Come together. And they had maybe like 8 or 9 people together, a couple of hunters, and we just demolished them.
Not one of us died. Not one of us died
this entire time. It was incredible. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to start this across server. But if you're Alliance, head on over to Black Morass and stop the Horde. If they, you know, I feel like we're past all this faction imbalance nonsense. All this Horde versus Horde is staying. Faction imbalance is going to be a problem. It's time to rise up, Alliance. Kill them in front of Black Morass. Make it impossible for them to do the dungeon. Make them run back for 8 minutes. And then, while it's still in the game, slash spit on their bodies. It's the last chance we have in order to do it, probably. So take advantage of that. Rise up this week and make people regret being on Horde. Or Horde. If you're on a server where Alliance, you know, occasionally we have someone email in saying, hey, my server has 3 times Alliance. This is for you too. If you're the smaller faction, rise up on your server. Show them what you're made of. Get your friends together. Be coordinated and kill them all. Waste their time, and then just relish their misery. That's their.
It
That's
was
the best thing to do.
so
It
funny
was,
too,
it was so fun.
because I was like, they're like, Yip's playing this world PvP thing. I'm like, we're doing so good in BGs, guys. Come on, like seriously, let's get some honor. Like, come on, like I don't want to do this shit. I went in there like, all right, well I'm gonna support Yip because I'm not. Yeah, I'm just gonna go. And I didn't have very much fun in Thrallbar, but then we moved on. I had some fun up in Netherstorm, but then when we moved to Black Morass, I was like a kid in Candyland, just giggling every time we killed somebody. And when we had that huge fight and we won and lost nobody, I was like, oh man. And they were just forcing these groups of 5 to just run in as far as they can and die and just accept that they're going to res and run in. But then we stopped so many people resing right before the thing and killed them again.
Yeah,
It
the
had
best
to
part
be-
too is
Always bring a Master Spell.
Yep.
yeah, I was gonna say that Mass Dispel was probably the best part because paladins would they would spawn, they would put their bubble on thinking they're getting in, and then Kim would come in with the Mass Dispel and we just kill the paladin. So it was pretty enjoyable. It was awesome. Mass Dispel is an incredible ability.
Oh, we had all kinds of stuns too. We had double deep thunder. We had a rogue. We had it was glorious.
It was good. But that's how I spent my week. Other than that, I think is the Midsummer Festival over? I haven't
It
logged on
ended
today.
on some servers, but that was retracted. I've seen it like pieces of it. I heard that it was closing down piece by piece. I think it's like bugged. Like I think that's
yeah,
really the
it seemed
answer.
really weird. Hopefully Ahoon is still up because I've not gotten my tank necked yet, but I've been trying. Other than that, that's how I spent my week. Did some PvP, did some 3s with Kim, and 2s. 2s are normally pretty difficult for us, but we get out there. We have fun. But 3s, we added in a hunter, and it was glorious. Hunters can output so much damage. It's just it was really funny. I really like our arena time as well too. We're not super competitive, but we like blowing people up, and it's really fun.
Well,
Unfortunately, Yip has experienced this where sometimes I'm trying to kill too hard instead of healing. So,
Yeah,
but it's very true. We just
it's
like
worth it. We had a
It is.
threes game where Kim did like 4,400 damage, but had all the killing blows. It was incredible. Like Kim's just
Yes.
there to snipe that last little damage that people don't
Yeah.
expect, and it's really funny.
well, that's funny because
True.
I also did 3s with Kim. When Mel went out of town, me,
Yeah,
Kim, and Lil Chilbra did 3s. He was on his mage, and it was crazy because it was really late at night. Kim and I were really drunk, but we went
I was
straight
just
up.
drunk. Okay, I wasn't really drunk.
Well, by the
Fair
end, Kim was dying pretty fast, so I'm pretty sure he
He-
was in the same boat that I was. And he was like, "I don't think I could do much more." I was like, "I don't think I can either." But
you
the
got me,
story, the story is that we went in, and it was like a team that I already had. We had done 10 games on and lost 2 and won 8, like early on, and we were at like 180. What's it called? Rank. We like shot right up to almost 1,400 immediately. And then we started running into 2K teams. I guess we just like moved up too quickly. And we're just fighting these 2K teams, and they're just blowing Kim up or blowing Chilbra up before he can even like pop things. And it was intense to see how mean 2K teams are. And we also, Kim was kind of like half DPS. He was only running with like what, 120 resilience, right?
Yeah, my result is relatively low, comparatively speaking. I mean, I also think that it's because Chilbra basically just carried us there.
Well,
like he's
I don't
so
think
good,
it
but,
was.
like,
Well, and I think that was like one of the things. But I mean, the biggest thing about being with Chilbra is he would call the targets, and like half of the time I would be right on who I thought we should go first on, But he would say something and then he'd give us the reason. And I was like, this is how you get better, is playing with somebody of this caliber. They'll like open
Totally.
your eyes to what the other classes do. And it was super cool. Like it was really cool.
I do
It
the
was a really nice
opposite.
experience.
When I play with Chilbra, I just turn off the brain. I don't learn anything. All I do is follow instructions. That's why I've got no say in anything. Chilbra, lead the way. You're the PvP here. I'm not gonna do anything.
Oh yeah,
Tell
I
me
didn't
when to
call
hit
any
Mortal
targets.
Strike, please.
Yeah, I didn't call any targets. I just in my head was thinking, oh, we should go on this first. But
Yeah.
then Chilbra would call the target. I'd be like, and then he would tell us why he would call the target. It was really, really cool. And I just at that point of the night, he was ready to go for another hour or two, and I just wished I hadn't drank because I was like, man, I could keep. But I was getting to a point to where I was no longer doing well, and I was just like, there's no point in keeping going. But it was really cool.
I think especially with an experienced mage in arena, they have a much better understanding of like who they can lock down and make irrelevant in a fight. So
That's
like
really
you might
true.
be thinking, "Oh, I can kill this person easier," but he can also be thinking, "I can lock that person down while we kill
Yep.
somebody else."
Yep.
So there are a lot more elements. I'm like a big dumb twos player so I don't have to ever make decisions like that. So it's really nice playing with someone who's experienced for sure.
Yep. And then besides that, I've been doing all kinds of stuff. I've been doing all kinds of different heroics, running a hoon a lot, trying to make money, working on that consortium rep because I really want to have like exalted on both my characters for my free jewels every month. And anybody that doesn't know about that, if you have any sort of consortium rep, you get free jewels from the consortium camp in Nagrand every month. And I'm not positive, but I believe no matter when you turn it in the month, it still restarts at the start of the month. So,
That's nice.
yeah, so you get a lot if you're exalted. You get a pretty good amount if you're revered, but you get something if you're honored. So definitely
Might as
check
well.
that out. Yeah, you might as well if you're not going to work it up. But I've been working on that, and then yeah, it's just thinking about working up a rogue, but haven't done it, but thought about it. What about you, Mel or Kim? Want to go?
Um,
Go ahead, Kim.
yeah, all right. Basically, I've been so for those of you who don't know, I've basically been trying to explore this like weird holy smite build type of thing, and like trying to make it actually relatively viable. Um, and so I've been doing that, and it's been actually really, really fun, especially in world PvP and BGs, just because like you know there's one DPS versus me, and they're like, oh, I could just kill this healer. Nope. That's pretty fun. I've also been working on my warrior a little bit, Mr. Block Obama, who I rushed the double NG trinket yesterday, and I have a raid in about 1.5 hours, so it'll come in handy. Been doing some stuff with my buddy Thick. It's a great name.
Not to be confused with Thick
It's Thick
Bungus.
Fungus, right. Yeah, I mean, he's been playing a little more, which I always like to see. You know, he's a good friend of mine, so I just like to encourage him to come out and like do stuff. And by the way, he was telling me like he had such a good time doing the BM thing. He was like,
Oh,
dude,
I'm
that
glad.
was so epic, because I think that was really one of his first interactions as far as like PvPing with us. And yeah, I mean, he was holding his own pretty well. So
Which we didn't
I think it's
mention.
fun to I think it's fun to do it more. Like I would love to do more world PvP stuff. Just going out and doing BGs and arena and stuff has been a good way to play. I've kind of complained on here that there's not a lot of content to do, especially if you're kind of done with your character. There's not a lot of raiding to be done, so you kind of miss the people in your guild. But PvP has been really accessible to people. You only need a couple of people who are like geared, and you can
Mhm.
really have a good time out there and hang out with people in your guild.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
we didn't
you make
mention
your
it.
own content.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, we didn't even mention it, but the guild has been running, at least every night that I'm on, it's running, usually a 5-man group, if not two, 3-man groups or two four-man groups, which, by the way, we can still queue easily into the same BG with, 2 groups. We still haven't tried 3 groups, but we can still do it with 2 groups, and we've been doing that quite a bit. So we've been winning way more BGs than we lose, which is not what I was used to in vanilla at all. So it's been pretty cool. And with Deep Thunder, things are very different. Like, ooh, man, it's really, really fun. So we've been doing that with the guild across the board. Like Kim's been involved in that. Yip's been involved with that. I think Kim and I probably have done it the most. Mel's been involved a bunch too, but
Can I ask for more info? Are you
Bushy's also
specifically?
on a lot.
Do you mean Eye of the Storm winning, or have you been winning other BGs?
oh no, we've
Well,
been
me as
winning.
well.
Yeah, we've been winning Warsong, Arathi Basin. We tried when we had a 4 and 5-man group, we tried these different things in Arathi Basin where we were just like, we are not helping anybody, we are not guarding anything, we are not splitting up the force. We just move in 3 DPS, two heals, go flag to flag and take flag to flag, and usually we end up winning doing that. Like it's just like the horde end up spawning back at their base because they have no bases, and yeah,
It
it's
goes
working.
against everything in my beliefs. So when they try to do that, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll stay here, right? Like, it infuriates me
It
so
feels wrong.
much
Definitely. I mean,
when
I'm the guy
people,
that stays
everybody
in
leaves.
guards too. But we've been realizing that
Okay.
me staying in guarding when I could end the BG with the most killing blows and the second or third highest damage, that's a big
He wants the
loss.
killing blows, guys. That's what it's really about.
Correct.
But
The
I think that
problem is that
They all go to me.
it doesn't matter. Like, yes, you can have a lot of killing blows, and I bet you have a ton of killing blows in all the BGs that we lose because
No,
nobody
actually,
guarded.
well, but no, honestly, really,
I disagree
what
with
it,
that as well.
yeah, with the group, what it boiled down to is a healer staying to guard, we lose that. Me staying to guard, we lose that damage. But me and a healer together are a force to be reckoned with. Me by myself, I can 1v1 most classes, but still, I'm not going to take on 2 or 3. But me and a healer can take on 3 or 4, especially if they're not
Yeah.
geared. And so
It's
that
just
was
a
the
hard
thought
balance, right?
process.
It's just a hard balance of how do you identify when to stay, when to go? And I think it depends on what team you're with. If the pugs on your team are doing a good job and helping and staying and guarding, that's amazing and you're going to
Well,
win, right? If they're not, then you have to make a decision if you want to be the attack force or if you want to leave people to guard.
I will
and
say that
that's
the
what we
That's
hardest
true.
games that we
That's very
play in
true.
BGs, the hardest time that we have is always against Horde that are rotating really quickly.
Yeah.
Anytime Horde are just power blasting the rotations, getting pugs on the same page to deal with it, that alone is really hard. So I feel like it definitely is. It can be definitely a win harder kind
Right.
of situation, because if the other team's already having trouble with what you're doing, if you're then just rotating super quickly, they're just
Well,
like,
and then
what?
the
What do
well,
we
and
do? Where
that's
are we
what we
right,
spawning?
found though.
the horde are rotating really quickly, right? But we are rotating backwards. We're trying to defend instead of giving up, saying there's the entire team here. Let's go get into their base because there's obviously no way they can all be at these other bases,
Well,
right? And I think that's the difference is that we're rotating to defend and they're rotating to attack.
Well, and that's what we've found. Regardless of what our pugs eventually fell in line because they saw us moving from point to point. And we didn't always just go to something to take it back. Sometimes our group would go reinforce blacksmith or reinforce a base to guard. It was just we were always all 4 or 5 of us staying together. Period. Whatever we did,
Yeah.
that was the strategy. It wasn't exactly just Zerg next, take over. Sometimes we were taking a base back or defending, but the biggest thing was just keep the pumpers together.
Yeah, honestly, it also made it. actually, I feel like it's more fun to always just like roll around in a death squad and just be like,
Oh yeah.
because you're like just talking to your buds and you're like, dude, that dude drops so fast, blah blah, like that kind of thing for me. I don't know, like I think a lot of people like to focus on like getting the honor points and things like that. I don't know, I
I
just like
think
killing
that's why
people.
nobody defends. Nobody defends because
Yeah,
it's way more
Yep.
fun to
yeah,
run around and kill
And
people.
actually
true.
more honor lucrative as long as you're still winning. Like being in the
Right.
fight gets you a lot more honor. But yeah, that's just kind of what we found. Like Warsong Gulch, definitely we only do it if we have Jasmine or Bushy, and preferably both Jasmine and Bushy. And that makes Warsong Gulch like pretty
We're
dang
both
good.
druids, by the
Why
way.
not
Yeah.
For you
Mel? What? Don't
Well,
forget about me.
Mel, you don't usually
What
run
the
the flag.
the flag running of a druid who's good, which they both are, is just very. It's hard to beat.
Oh,
No, go get an apprenticeship with them.
hurts. That hurts.
Oh yeah, you
Okay.
play a druid too.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I forgot.
Listen,
Well, no, I
just
didn't say
because I
anything. This
don't run
this
the
thing
flag,
from Bob.
I'm pretty sure that every time that I am there, Bushy is there. And Bushy has 3 times the health as me.
Definitely,
So
definitely.
it
I'm
is
not saying you
stupid
can't
for
do
me
it.
to run the flag.
I'm just saying those two have a ton of experience with it, and makes those games a lot easier. But even Altered Valley, we've been winning a ton. Like it's been a pretty fun time. But Mel, do you have anything else that you've been doing that you want to cover?
Well, I was out of town until Wednesday. And I got back on Wednesday and then no, I mean not really. I mean, we raided on Thursday. Wednesday I didn't do anything. I was way too tired.
You
Bob
did
tried to
too.
get me to do.
You did
Did
too.
I?
Yeah, we helped. We helped get Spell Check's Rogue Annoying Kara attuned the entire
Ah,
night.
yes.
That's
I
how
put that out
tired
of my
Mel
mind.
was.
Yes. This is why it was better that I traveled back on Wednesday and not on Thursday because I was like a robot, like mindlessly doing things on Wednesday. But yeah, we did the attunement runs and it was fine. I mean, it baffles me how much different it is in PvE. It doesn't baffle me, I guess. I mean, I know this, but I'm so much more geared on my priest. And like there's times in PvE like dungeons, even in just regular dungeons where I'm just like, I don't have any way to heal you that quickly. And I don't have anything to give you as a druid that can help you survive. Like I want to put on shield, I want to put on like something else and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I regrowth, I renew, I healing touch, like you're still dead. I don't know what to do. Um a lot of that is I'm still PvP spec so probably had a minor effect on it. And it run
Does
out of mana so fast.
it is it's like crazy how different it really does feel. Like at first you're like, oh, it's like business as usual, but like on the longer fights, you can totally tell the difference in the
Oh
spec
yeah,
too. Yeah.
that's the thing. Like the longer fights, I think is where it really comes to like clear that it's not great.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
But
Huh?
yeah, that's pretty much all I've done. Oh, I've been herbing a little bit more because I'm trying to get mana thistle because it's really
Mhm.
expensive and I'm cheap and I'm broke.
Just win BGs
Um,
with your luck, right?
Yeah.
yeah. I do get a lot of mana thistle from BGs, but I was out of town, you know. Um,
Mm.
so I was herbing, and I cannot tell you. First of all, I don't know if I said it on this podcast, and that's why so many more people know about this spot. But the one like right outside of Shat, that's like not even really on the map. It's like kind of in Shat, but it's not in Shat. Like if you fly out of Shat, you can't see it, but if you're in Shat, you can't see it. I don't know. It's
It's a
very
little
weird.
ogre place right above Shat.
Yeah. And like there's like a ton of mana thistle there and it's great. But the horde have found me and now they're hunting me because every time I go up there, there's one there and they just wait
And she
until
makes
I'm
us come
almost
kill
about
him.
to pick the herb. Yeah, but you know what's awesome about it is everybody's in chat to come get revenge for you. See?
Well,
Hey, maybe we
just
should make
wait.
that our next PvP spot.
That's what I wanted to do. If we had a small
Yeah.
group, like 3 or 4 people, I just wanted to go to farming spots and just murder the people
Like
there. Like, I think that's a really good. I mean, hey, it hurts their economy too. It's a win. It's a win for the Alliance if you stop them from farming primals and their herbs.
Oh
Can I buy
man.
directly from the source then?
Well, then, Mel, you'll have an upper hand here pretty soon with Epic Flight Form, too, which you weren't on the pod
Oh
to
my
talk
god.
about.
Oh my god, you guys. So Bob told me about this before I went out of town. I have no recollection of that happening. Um, but I was listening to it on the plane and I was like, Epic Flight Form? What? And he was like, we talked about this, Mel, and I was like, oh, I
No, we
wasn't
didn't talk
listening
about it. I
apparently.
told you. You didn't say anything back. So
Okay.
you were doing the like what everybody says men do to women, where they do the
Yeah,
Yep, you were
they
doing
do
that
that.
to me.
Yeah. I think I was packing at the time. My mind was elsewhere.
We were in the
But
car.
Don't worry, I did the 12
okay.
time.
But whose fault is that? This is this is a slight tangent, but I feel like we live in a modern time with phones. There's always so much information around us. If someone clearly isn't listening to you, is it really their fault, or is it your fault for them to expect them to listen to you?
It's my
I
fault
you
for
know.
being boring. I agree.
Agreed. No, like Baba will be listening to some podcast that has no relevance to me.
It's
And
Warcraft Reloaded.
so I'll be on my phone. No. And he'll say something and he'll be like, "Oh my god, did you hear that?" And I'm like, No, I did not hear that. I am not listening to what you're listening to." But yes, I agree. It's probably both of our faults. It's fine.
All right. Well, do we have any raid progression things we want to talk about or anything?
I don't
Yip
know. I
wants to talk about
died.
dying.
I had 19,000 health, so I was going in. It's like
Damn.
I wouldn't normally care about dying, but I was so stacked last night that I was like,
Yeah, that's actually a
"Yo,
ton of health.
I know."
Wow.
I was like, "There's no chance I'm dying tonight," and then I died in like the first 20 seconds. I don't really think it wasn't. I think it was a preventable death, but I wouldn't necessarily blame the healers because I took an outrageous amount of damage, just like hit after hit. He mighty blowed me for like 11k in the middle of his like arcing
Oh my
smash
god.
and his normal melee, and it was just like it was a string of insane damage that I normally don't take anymore, so I can understand it. But I was just
Is
like,
this on
what just
Gruul?
happened to me? It's on no High King Mulgar. The Girl was totally
Oh, dude,
fine.
High King
Uh,
was, yeah. Whew.
It was
Messy.
messy.
Yeah.
But
Our whole night was a little bit messy, but it
Well,
okay,
not
ended up
for me,
okay.
actually.
Not
This was
not
the
Gruul, not
best
Gruul.
25 man that I've done so far. Because on Gruul, I survived the entire time, got a 95 parse. On Mag, I survived the entire time, got a 95 parse. It was good for me.
Wow, I'm
okay, can
surprised we
I
got a high parse on Mag when we
Mm.
almost didn't do Mag.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
can I
didn't have a
ask a
clicker.
question? Let me ask a question.
Mhm.
What is it? Is there anything I can do? Because every time we go to Gruul, that first trash, I literally die. Almost
Yeah,
every
you're not
time now.
standing close enough.
Okay, I am. I am literally on top of the mob.
Well,
She
then
is.
maybe you're getting cleaved.
I saw the spirit like on the mob. I think it's you gotta like stand like at his butthole.
Okay,
You know, I think.
butthole
Yeah.
noted.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
I think if you're
because
like a
We call
little
that
bit to
bug
the
hole.
left or right, you know.
yeah, maybe
Um,
that's it. I don't know. I'm just like, how does this happen? I've seriously stopped taking any of my consumes until we get to the like boss people because
Well,
it's not
okay.
okay.
Also, though, I think the problem is you can still get screwed on the trash if someone else messes up, because if they do charge, then
Yeah, then you get
aggro
cleaved.
drops and you can take aggro immediately with any heal because there's nothing on them. That's the whole reason we
You can also
don't
just
want
get
them to
cleaved and
charge.
die.
No,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure when I looked at it, I got cleaved and it was like 4K overkill.
but it's
And I was
Yeah.
fine.
probably because
Like, no
somebody
chance.
didn't move up. And I don't know
No,
how
I
we
think
yell
I
at
think
people
I think she was
more.
inside the mob, and Cleave just has a
Oh,
ridiculous
it could
like
be.
hitbox sometimes.
But still,
Cleave is really
So I
bizarre.
But
stack
still,
too
how do
well,
we not
is
get
what you're
these
telling
people to
me.
stack? Like always, there's somebody standing out there. Like at this point, it's like, okay, What are
This
we
shouldn't
doing?
surprise you. Maybe because
Yeah.
like you're DPS in Classic and it didn't matter that much. But to me, this is just how we played in Classic. Now transferred over to when it matters a little bit more. It was like it's
Yeah.
impossible to get people to do this stuff. I mean, I remember the good old days where it would take us 5 full minutes to get a warlock to summon somebody in Classic. So I can
Can we talk
understand
about
it.
the fact that there's usually only one mage now? And shout out to spell check because before it was like, can we get water? Can we get a table? And it was like 10 people you're talking to, right? Like now it's one. And then it's
Yeah.
like, can we get a port? And it's like, yeah, I just had to get mana, right? And like, I think people are requesting it, not even realizing like, I could just say spell check. Do you mind giving us support when you have a chance? I feel so bad for him. Or like arcane intellect. I'm like, can I get an arcane intellect? I sent him a message in the middle of before we got to the like first mobs in Gruul, and I was like, can I get an arcane intellect? Bushy let me die. I blamed it on Bushy.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
It was
Well,
his fault.
This isn't a call out. I just
The
want to
dying
really quick.
crossfire.
Not a call out. I'm looking at what happened to you. You were cleaved by one brute and lived, stood in the same place and got cleaved by the other brute and then died.
I was
Oh,
probably
you
trying
need
to keep you
That was
GTFO.
over
You need
14
GTFO.
seconds.
Yeah,
That was over
GTFO will
14 seconds.
I
like yell
have
at you.
GTFO.
Huh?
Doesn't yell at me about cleave.
Yeah, it
Okay,
might-
it
no.
does. It's just like it's not the it's the brunk 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 or something like that. Like it's a like much small. Like the only comes when you're like in something real bad. But
I will
cleave,
say
it's like
I embellished.
a smaller
I did-
sound.
I do have no
Thank
info on
you.
whether or not you stood in the same place. I just thought that would sound
Thank
worse
you.
if I said it like that. So you might have adjusted, and that's why you got hit by the other brute.
Well,
Likely that's what happened. I like moved over to the
Yeah.
left and it was like, oh, now you're over here for this. But all I'm saying is like, you also have to realize what a healer goes through, right? And my health is, yes, important, but the other 24 bars that I'm looking at, I'm trying to figure out how I can make sure that they stay alive, especially the tanks. So lots
Very
of
selfless.
times I forget to use binding heal, and that's a deficit. I understand that. I can accept that. But I was worried about you, Yep.
Thank
We're
you.
always worried about you, Yep.
well then
Thank you.
on I don't know how Kim's 10 men went, but Mel and I were back with Yip this week, and this was the first time I got to do Kara with FJ, and man,
Yeah.
that dude is a pumper. Like
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was keeping up with him the entire night, right? Like especially on boss fights. But what you don't know is that I asked FJ at the start, "Hey, do you want to trade off Curse of Elements?" And he said, "No, I'll just do it the whole night." I was like, "Are you sure? I don't mind trading off." He's like, "No, it's fine." So like I was able to do an extra curse the entire night, and that's the only reason that I kept up with his badass. Like, I mean, he was awesome.
He's a very good player.
Mage we had was awesome. I was looking at the charts. We had so much damage last night, and the crazy part is I don't know if the mage did, but me and FJ had to literally, we didn't have a pally, so we didn't have salve, so we had to stop casting so often, which is so
It's worse
weird.
than just not having a pally. So I've never had no pally and didn't have the boomkin. So if you want to look at Warcraft logs of what it's like to be a warrior
Oh
in
yeah,
this day and age, I have insane gear, by the way. Like I've got as much hit gear as I possibly could have on at that time.
except
I
Hoon's
still-
neck.
Except a Hoon's neck. That's actually very true. But it's like you'll see between dodge, parry, and miss, I miss 15 to 20% of the time, depending on the boss and what gear I'm wearing. So you guys, I love all of you, but casters have no chill, especially on trash. Things are dotted before I even pull sometimes. And people are like, oh, why? We don't have a pally. That's not why.
It literally is. It literally is because we
No,
can
it's
do
not
that.
literally why.
We can do that with the pally because that's
No,
30%
you
less threat.
can't.
We
if there's
can. We
one
do it all the
tank,
time.
if there's one tank and there's 2 mobs that are far apart from the warrior, and you dot the one I'm not next to, it will run to you.
You can
That's
do
the
it with a
fact.
Pally tank.
Yeah, maybe with a Pally tank
Yeah.
could be
I
what
think
you're.
that's-
I've
I think, yeah,
okay.
that's
Just
really the main thing.
just
is range taunt.
just to let you know, Yip, I've done it with you and your group, but we've had Stoof. Like, literally,
Listen,
it's
I'm not saying
so
it's
different.
impossible. No, it depends on how many there are too, and it depends on like who it is. When I say the dots, it's really the Shadow Priest that I have the most issues with.
Yeah,
that
I mean, it's
typically pull. It's usually not a Warlock, except when you get like a string of crits that become a problem. But then I have taunt available. What I hate is having to blow taunt in the first 1 second of the
the
initiation of a fight.
like basically the only
will
lock
say
that you would have
Exarch
to
in our
deal with
mage-
though. The only lock that would like actually have that big problem with you is Nem because he's affliction. Me and FJ, or if there's 2 mobs, we're putting Curse of Agony on the other
Yeah, the
mob,
trash-
and
the
it
trash
like
wasn't
builds
as
up
bad.
really slow, and like we're putting all the other stuff on the main mob we're killing. Then we're switching over. So like we're really not doing a whole bunch of multi-dotting, but like the Shadow Priest and the Affliction locks definitely are.
Yeah, I
will
think from
say
now
X
on,
and what was the mage's name that was with us?
Maddie Meow or
Madu,
something.
Maddie Meow,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah. Maddie. They died a lot.
That time XO?
They went a little crazy. I think I got frustrated at one point. I was just like, because it was the ghosts, that are in the side entrance.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
pull that from me, I don't know what to tell you. Like, they're taunt immune. Try not to. I don't know. There's just nothing I can
Not
do.
to.
So without the Shadow Priest, it looks like on boss, or not Shadow Priest, without the Boomkin, it looks like I've got like a total of like 12% miss or something between parry and dodge, and that's a good chance that my first global on an attack might miss in some way. So if you go ham, not looking at threat meters, and see that I actually didn't even hit the thing yet, it's like it's insane for me to then get that back. So
well, and the problem is
it's just a
that
lot.
like with the lock, like so much is on our crits. Like other classes, like we have a 200% crit. Like other classes, the crits don't jump you as high. Like
Well,
if we
Frost Mage is
crit
like
right
that,
off,
though.
oh, okay, it is. All right, but yeah, if we hit that crits right off the bat, we're like, oh my god, and
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
rough.
Even despite it sounds like we're complaining a lot, still super quick.
Oh,
run,
dude.
super
Oh, yeah.
good,
We
right?
just. I mean, I think
Yeah,
we only
yeah.
wiped once, and it was on. It was
Oh, wait.
because.
It was Night Main.
Yeah, because
I
we
want
were
to talk
just.
about this.
We were just
Okay.
pushing too hard.
We'll
I
talk
want
about
to
that.
talk
and we
about
can get
Nightbane.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I took the blame for Nightbane, but after further reflection on what happened in that situation, I think that maybe it wasn't all of my fault. Okay?
Go
So
on.
what
I'm
happened?
listening.
So what happened was we were doing good on Nightbane. I feel like also Mira, the feral druid that we had,
Mhm.
kept innervating me, and it took me a while to realize that I was like, man, I'm just mana conserving like a crazy person. I'm just doing great. But no, he was innervating
Mel,
me a
you
lot.
play a
That
druid.
was amazing. Yeah, I know, but like I just like was so focused on like my bars over here and innervate shows over here, right?
Night
And
for sure, yeah. It's a
and
easy fight to get lost in.
yeah, and so okay, so we're doing it, and then we get tail swiped.
The tail swipe.
And what?
Yeah, I was just agreeing. There
Okay,
was the tail
okay.
swipe.
So we get
Which, to
tail
be fair,
swiped.
Nightbane is really hard to deal with when he comes down. Okay, he's
I'm not complaining.
Hey, yep.
I'm
Even
just
Corpse has
stating
tail
the
swiped
facts.
us many times, so don't feel bad
Great.
at all.
But we get tail swiped, and then Mel AoE heals, and then Mel gets aggro and dies. I thought that was all my fault because I shouldn't have AoE healed. But if we hadn't gotten tail swiped, I wouldn't have had to AoE heal.
right,
It's a
but
really good point.
I will say though, right. I totally agree that if there was a time where you were gonna pull, it should be that time.
Well,
However,
I didn't pull any other
that
time.
I think you went overboard on AoE heals
I did.
proportional to the tail swipe.
Yeah,
Which
that's fair.
when the run, so it was an unbelievably clean Nightbane. That's the only reason why it was frustrating, is because
I
everything was
know.
so perfect till then. But really, it was still just a really good Nightbane. And then our next attempt was also really good. It was the first time I
Yeah.
had a Frost Mage. Frost Mages are so
Oh.
Just make
broken
it
in
easy.
Yeah.
Karazhan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
What
and
the heck?
something that I've tried to say, I tried to say to a lot of my teams, and I've just given up saying it because no one seems to like think it's a good idea, or they're just not listening to me. But I'm always like, when Nightbane comes down, let's start on the, not the wall, but the ledge. Because we have
Yeah.
much less chance of getting tail swiped. Like, we have to move back and forth. Like, why not just start at the ledge where
Well,
there's
and
less
you can
chance of that happen? Give the tank more time to get it in the right position. Like,
well,
we can
and you
tell
can
him at
start a
that
little
point.
bit further back where healers won't lose line of sight. Like that's always the issue for me is that like you have to move up to get into line of sight of the tank if you're starting on the wall on the inside, right? Because it curves. See? It's like a circle.
Yep.
And I think, yeah, Bob, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
all in
my
First
all,
time
we
for everything.
destroyed
There's a
it.
first time
Like,
for everything.
The one
DPS
thing
was
I'll
out of this
say,
world.
the one thing I'll say about Nightbane is that like, if you have more than one person that gets tail swiped, prayer many them because it won't give you threat and it'll
Mhm.
just ping off of every tick, right? So it just goes back and
Yeah.
forth between them, and it doesn't give you any threat, and it becomes super
Oh,
efficient.
does tail
Um,
swipe do a debuff?
it's
When
a
it...
dot.
Yeah.
It's a
Oh, it's a
That's
dot.
why I
dot. I
asked.
It's a
didn't
lot.
realize
It's actually a
that.
lot of damage.
But it's a lot of
That's a
damage.
good
It is.
And I don't
call.
know
Yeah.
that Prayer of
is.
Mending on its own though, but I think I could have done Prayer of Mending in addition to a Prayer of Healing instead of doing Circle of Healing because Circle of Healing is what really gets me in trouble
It's the instant.
threat
Yeah.
wise. Yeah, it's just
It's
like
because it's
boom,
just like
boom.
fast. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially in
So
that
yeah, I think
scenario
you're
when
right.
Nightbane's like about to go down, you just want to make sure people aren't dying yet.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not an unreasonable thing to happen at all. But our time would have been incredible without that wipe. Like we were speeding through that place. So that was really nice. My last thoughts on Karazhan before we move into these things, so Kim can talk more about healing. Is just that was my first time with no Boomkin, with no Paladin, and basically no melee buff at all in my my group. No shaman, so I was getting feared all the time. I just like if I now have any of that, I at least want Wind Fury. If I don't have the Boomkin or a Salvation, that Wind Fury is like a huge increase to threat. So I don't know. It would be. I need something. That's what I learned. I was like, this is rough tonight. I had nothing except for a Feral Druid in my group, and it was rough with some pumpers. But I mean, the run still goes good. It's just my job
Yeah.
is more frantic. That's the only
The
thing
other
for
thing,
Warrior.
I mean,
at
we still
least you
did
had
really good.
Yeah.
misdirect. At least you had misdirect.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's really big, I think.
If I didn't
And
have
it's Frost
misdirect, I
Mage.
would think that I would think the groups were trying to purposefully throw, and my group was.
All right, well, let's move into the news. So first off in the news, I really hate covering this. I hate it, but we got to because it's big news. Jab, aka J. Allen Brack, has resigned from Activision Blizzard as president. He's leaving along with the head of HR, which makes sense to me. And who is taking over? Oh, shoot, I had this up. I lost it now. So
Jen O'Neill and Mike Ybarra.
yes, and Mike Ybarra was one of the founding members of the Xbox Live team, which kind of revolutionized console gaming on the internet for everybody. So that's kind of cool. Jen O'Neill, I don't know much about, but she was the CEO of a company that Activision Blizzard acquired. So she was she was actually running a company of her own. I know people have different thoughts about this, so who wants to go first?
I'll just say Bob and I fought a little bit about their replacements, and I think that obviously this is bad
We
for the company
discussed. We didn't fight.
because I not fought. We had a disagreement. But most importantly, anyone who's worked at any company, someone leaving and then just bringing down the next two people in line to co-lead sounds like a nightmare to me. It just sounds like a managerial nightmare. But most importantly, I just want to point out one. J. Allen Brack had the worst statement after this whole lawsuit thing unfolded. It was just an embarrassment to himself and the company. So if you go read that, you'll see what I mean. He
Yeah.
references a famous feminist in it, like, "Oh, they were our household name in my house growing up," and it's, what are you even talking about? It was super embarrassing. But the main
Yeah.
reason this happened is to cover for the CEO of Activision Blizzard. This happened the same morning that the quarter two earnings call happened. So this was literally just a play for that reason. And I want to read, let's see if I still have it up. I want to read this line, which I understand you've got shareholders to worry about, but as things go public, just reading this, if we experience prolonged periods of adverse publicity, significantly reduced productivity, or other negative consequences relating to this matter, our business likely would be adversely impacted. We are carefully monitoring all aspects of our business for any such impact. It's like, shut up.
That's
Like,
something you
I
say to the
understand.
shareholders,
I know
though.
it's a shareholder thing, but it is just so annoying to see horrible after horrible response to this and then get this earnings call info where they're forcing someone out as a scapegoat. J. Allen
Yeah.
Brack is not the reason all of this took
Yeah.
place there, the sole reason. And it's just like a scapegoat for the earnings call. And I don't know, we need to see more. That's my whole point,
All
is we
right,
need to see
so
more.
I'll preface this by saying J. Allen Brack, I didn't know much about. All I knew about J. Allen Brack is you think you do, but you don't. Because
Yeah.
I quit in Cataclysm when I thought World of Warcraft was starting to suck for me. Now, I'm not saying your game's bad. It started to suck for me. I quit. I was not one of the people that quit and then came back. Everybody talks about, oh, we always come back. No, I never came back. I did come back for 15 minutes in MOP with the free level 90 boost or whatever, but I quit 15 minutes later after I was like, no. Okay, so J. Allen Brack, you think you do, but you don't. It's kind of like that first impression thing. Like, it's hard to ever live that down. Somebody's got to do amazing to beat a horrible first impression. And he never did that. Like, I hate to bring it back to Asmongold again, but I heard him saying something like, J. Allen Brack at worst, or at best, is just a really nice guy that didn't know how to run a company, and at worst is incompetent or something to that line. And so I've never thought that J. Allen Brack was a good thing. And when Mike Morhaime stepped down, I was there at BlizzCon, and I was like, "Wait, you think you would do what you don't, guy? It's take what?" I was like, okay, like I was just upset at that point. So I've never appreciated Jab. Other people might. I have no idea what he did because he wasn't really well known to me when I was an avid player of World of Warcraft. But the argument or discussion Yip and I had, disagreement, is Yip said that they were moving up people that hadn't been at the company long. And I was thinking to myself, well, that's good because the people that have been in the company a long time have fucked up for the last 5 to 6 to 7 years.
This is such a retcon of our conversation. You pointed out that it was good they hadn't been there for a long time. And
Yes,
I was
exactly.
just
It's good.
saying that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Well, I'm just saying, obviously, the people that have been there for a long time, we don't want them moving up. I'm
Right.
saying, like,
I definitely agree.
I'm
This
hoping
could be
that,
good.
like, I have hope that these two people can run it. But at the same time, I got to bring up the co-leading of the company. What in the actual fuck? Okay, like,
It doesn't work.
Yeah,
It never works. It always
like,
sounds like a great idea.
maybe
It never works.
maybe 3 people, because then you can have the votes. But then still, like, it's just
A
I
tiebreaker,
don't.
yeah.
Yeah, like, did you
No,
just
you
do this
need.
to like promote a woman in there? Like, why not just make her the lead? Like, give us an explanation about this. This makes no sense whatsoever. Like, do you think she can't lead on her own? Do you think he can't lead on his own? Like,
Okay, okay. I think
it
I
just seems like a real weird thing, right?
okay, I agree that I think that there are a lot of assumptions that we can make about this decision. I don't know that that's the best avenue to go because I've been in positions where I've made decisions and people make assumptions and you're just like, what? No, that's not what it was, right? And I think we need to be sensitive to that. I do think that I agree with, yep, this was a political decision. I don't think it had anything to do with anything. I don't think it had anything to do with performance. I don't think it had anything to do with the lawsuit other than we need to fire somebody and somebody in a high position. And this is a Blizzard issue, not an Activision issue
Well, and J.
in
Allen Brack has
in the
been
side of things.
it's been
It
the
doesn't matter
president,
though.
but he's been the president. Nothing really good has happened since his presidency.
Correct, which
besides
made it
Classic.
an easy decision. But even if he
all-time
had
high
been
revenue for
the
retail WoW.
yeah,
So,
Really?
like
yeah.
so I think we're
I
saying
thought
this
that was for
without much
Blizzard
knowledge.
overall. I didn't think that was just for WoW, but I could be wrong.
But again, we're saying this without the knowledge of that. I think you put in co-leaders moving forward, and I think that's a stupid idea. I think you can say in the interim, these two people are going to take the role and we will figure out a more long-term solution to ensure that the culture of our company is moving in the direction that we would like to see it go. And I think that that is a much better response than these two people are our new leaders and they're going to take over, right? How does that fix anything? How does
Let
that
me
address anything?
let me give you a devil's advocate
Sure.
here that I thought of, and I didn't even know if I wanted to bring it up on the podcast, but I'm going to bring it up because the marriage between a man and a woman is one of the most strongest teams that I personally have ever experienced. I can't talk about like any other relationship, but like it's one of those strongest relationships that I've ever experienced, and one of the best ways to make decisions about what's best for everyone involved, boy or girl. And I don't know how to like actually properly put this, but like maybe they're trying to go for that, to try and make both sides happy and have checks and balances between men and women in the
Then you
company.
need a board. You don't need
True,
two people.
true.
Yeah.
Because
Well, I just
two
think
people cannot effectively run a company unless they are exactly on the same page. Because no one has veto
Like,
power over anybody else. No one can make decisions.
but you and
And
I aren't always on the exact same page, but we run
correct.
things pretty
And
good.
But you're also
Pers-
not going for
personally,
stockholders.
I know,
things
I
like
know,
right.
that.
I know.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm like
Personally,
bringing it
that's
back to a
fine.
weird place, but I'm just
Personally,
saying.
that's fine. Professionally, it's a nightmare. And I've experienced it, right? I've experienced trying to have co-directors at our center. And all that happens is one person tries to outshine the other, or one person is upset because the other one isn't doing enough. It's like if you ever been in a group project where
Yeah.
there's always the people that don't pull their weight and then they get the same grade as you, right? Like that is what it feels like to have co-directors. Now, I'm not saying that these two people can't work well together, but there will come a point where these two people need to stand on their own.
Yeah, I was giving
And then
devil's advocate. I don't think it's going to work. I think it's
I
a
just think
crazy idea.
neither of them are suited to the role. I think is the real and my main point about them not being there that long is the reason they were both promoted is because neither of them individually is suited to be the president of Blizzard Entertainment. Like that is just what's up. So they had two people assume the
but how do you know
responsibilities
that?
of one.
See, and I don't
Because
know
why
that.
wouldn't they just pick somebody then? That's why. Someone who's been there for a year is not someone who's suited to be the president of the entire company.
I don't know
However, if
that I
you
agree with
say
that.
two people are assuming the roles and responsibilities, because what's their even official title? I think all they said is they're assuming the responsibilities.
Yeah,
As
they
co-leaders moving forward.
yeah,
Yeah,
they,
like
yeah,
co-leader.
they have not
That is
been
a bizarre.
officially promoted. I think they're in the interim process at the moment. So it
Right.
could be something that changes later, but for right now, I think they're giving themselves checks and balances is I
Yeah.
think
I mean,
what's going.
I personally don't care that much about their performance and what they're doing at Blizzard. I only care that J. Allen Brack got fired as a scapegoat for Bobby Kotick. So that's
Okay,
because
and
there are
here's
so
the
many
thing.
horrible people on the Activision side, and they just did this for their shareholders. That's my
To
only.
be fair, this was a Blizzard issue though, not an
Well, no,
Activision issue.
it's an Activision issue too.
No,
It's both.
the lawsuit, I think, was a Blizzard issue.
No, it's Activision Blizzard. The specific things that come up, isn't it Activision Blizzard? It's not just Blizzard.
Well, I mean, there is no just
Yeah,
Blizzard
Blizzard Entertainment
Entertainment.
is
You
still a
used to
studio
be.
under Activision Blizzard, right?
Oh,
When did they
really?
merge,
Are
though?
they? I thought it was just active. Okay, I have no
When
clue.
did they
I'm not
merge,
even
though?
gonna
I guess
talk.
that's the question. And the
They
people
merged in
that
like 2007.
Yeah,
Right.
it's an Activision Blizzard problem, then I'd say.
okay,
That's
and
been
that's
long
fine.
enough. Yeah.
I guess my whole point is that yes, he's a scapegoat, but you're gonna have a scapegoat. You
Yeah, of course.
cannot now. You're in charge of this whole company. What happens underneath it is your responsibility. And if things go south like this, you pay the price. And that's what you signed up for. You can't just say, "Oh, I didn't know about that." Well, you should have. Okay? You should have. And that's the end of the story. You're done. Like, and if they hadn't have fired him, no. There's no excuse for that. So I agree that he's a scapegoat. I don't think he was the end all be all person that should have done that made this happen. But I do think that he allowed the culture to grow and he allowed the culture to be
Sure.
present underneath him. And at that point, it's like, okay, you might be able to get us out of this, but it's not worth it. And we're gonna move on. I don't know that their solution is good, but it could that their solution is something temporary until they figure out what they want to do. They just need to communicate that better.
Yeah, the sad part is Jab probably reached out to good old. I hate that his name's Bobby. That pisses me off. But like he probably reached out to Bobbert and asked for help at different times. And I'm guessing that it was told. I'm guessing that's why after Sabi left, uh, like last year, a year and a half ago, is because they said quietly get him out the door. And I'm sure Jab is getting a severance package. I mean, he's not destitute. He is a millionaire. He's going to be sitting pretty for the rest of his life as long as he took care of his money. So I
I think
wouldn't
we're
feel
making a
too
lot of
bad for him.
assumptions that I want to be careful about, right?
Oh,
Like,
no, I said speculation at the start.
I know. I'm just saying. Like, I just think we just need to be careful about assuming what's
An
happening behind the
assumption?
Yeah,
scenes.
An
I think
assumption would
Jay
be
Allen Brack
thinking
lost all
it's
his money
true.
gambling. Am I right? I think he.
Yes,
I
this
think he
is
is
speculation.
destitute.
We are not assuming anything. We are speculating, which is just a process of pretend. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we've covered Jay Allen Brack leaving.
yep.
Well,
Unless Kim
do you
has
have
something.
anything to
Yeah,
add?
Kim.
Because you haven't gotten to talk.
Yeah, Kim didn't
Oh,
get stuck.
I don't really have any. I don't know. I haven't really been keeping up with it, to be honest. Like, it's one of those things where like, eh, I don't really like to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It's also outside
I
the
don't
classic
either.
sphere a lot as well.
It really
where
is.
Yeah.
Classic, like maybe some of these issues exist in the classic team, but the classic team is much smaller. I'm sure they are on their own. They are led by a woman, so I'm sure that the culture specifically for classic might be different, and it doesn't seem to be having as big of effect on people in classic. I think.
Yep. So we're gonna move on, and we're gonna hope that the people that they made in charge can do something good. That's all we're gonna hope, and we'll just see what happens. So the next piece of news is just a little one because we've talked about most of the stuff that came in, but this is the PTR update. There's some things that we didn't talk about. We did talk about Serpent Shrine Cavern coming out, the Eye coming out, also known as SSC. It's really weird that it has two names. It's
No, the Eye is the Tempest Keep one. Am I crazy?
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yep,
What did
nope.
you
You're
say?
right. You're right.
Okay.
And yep. Okay, so that's the one that's weird. Serpent Shrine Caverns is
Yeah.
in Zangarmarsh in the Cold Fang Reservoir. I'm sure you've tried to walk in there, go into the wrong dungeon before. It says you need a raid. That's it. The Eye is in Tempest Keep. It's the big platform surrounded by the three that you go to the dungeons up in Netherstorm. We talked about Ogrela and Shatari Skyguard daily quest coming in. We'll probably talk more about that once they actually open up. Guild Banks, the group browser tool, and then But the things we did not talk about is, I'm going to actually go out of order here in the thing here. I want to talk about the first raid rewards. So 25 man. This has been rough for everybody that I've talked to. Dropping one piece of tier gear in every 25 man boss. That is changing. It's going
Nice.
King Malgar, Gruul, and Magtheridon are going to start to drop 2 tier 4 tokens each kill. And then the new ones, Lathoris the Blind, Fathom Lord, Carathras, Lady Vash, Void Reaver, and Kel'Thas, Sunstrider. I should have you read these, Yep, because you're so much better at those. They are going to drop 2 tokens as well, which is, I think, a huge and awesome needed change. I think this happened to TBC as well.
Yeah,
but
I think
not this
in
patch.
reality, in reality, nobody remembered that only 1 token dropped for a while. Everyone was ready for 2 to drop, and they're like, "Wait, what the heck? It's only dropping 1."
Yeah.
Probably because not that many people were raiding as quickly as we are now. But yeah, I
Well,
mean,
talk about
it's cool.
though
It's
that
good.
it's good, but to play devil's advocate here, it also I don't have a lot to get from Gruul or Mag, and it dropping 2 tier pieces. Okay, maybe we'll get those pieces for our other players quicker, but then those just become obsolete raids, right? Like
No,
we
Well, we
don't need to
also
nah,
run
they
those
benefit
don't.
anymore.
because we get to craft things, I guess, which is super expensive. But
Right.
Well, I mean, they're not obsolete. There are people like a Feral Druid wants 4 of 4, or even maybe their whole set, maybe even for their tier set, and just by RNG, you might not get that in 25 bands right now. That's the biggest problem.
Well,
Is that
just
those
think about it.
situations are just impossible.
Yeah,
Correct,
just
but
think about
25
it.
bands,
Hold
like
on. Let me just put it into
okay.
into perspective. If only 1 tier token drops per 25 man boss, that means 25 weeks to get
At
everybody
minimum.
in your at minimum to get everyone in your raid their tier. So whether you need it or not, like that's a huge bad thing. This cuts it in half.
Yeah, and I agree. I guess I'm just saying I feel like I don't need a lot from 25 minutes, so maybe that's why I don't
you guys,
care.
you guys maybe think it's also because to like kind of speed up the release of different content, because like I feel like if you have the normal timeline that I guess TBC went in, it might be reasonable to have like that long of a time to collect all those pieces. But if they're gonna speed up some of the content and maybe release some raids a little earlier than they did originally, like it might be worth it to have everyone just grab 2 pieces per, bosses and stuff like that, right?
I think it just
I
has
think
to
it's a
do
fine
with
balance.
their well, I think it's their TBC. It's how TBC worked,
It's
right?
just it's just how
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so I think giving more gear is good. It's a good catch-up mechanic as well too, but I think it goes really well hand in hand with the fact that they're also going to be nerfing all the content as well also. So when T5 comes
Mm.
out, we're going to get nerfed
Oh, good
Caro. So we're
call.
going
We
to get
haven't talked about that.
I think we've
I
mentioned
mean, we
it.
I don't
have,
think we
just not
mentioned that it was
recently.
going to be nerfed on the show at all. I think we talked about that in
Yeah,
Discord.
I mean, maybe when it was coming out, we mentioned it. I think
Yeah, I
like
think
when
it was
yeah.
like
TBC was announced,
This is
we
just a
talked
long
about
time
it for
ago.
sure.
it was very small thing, right? I think.
Yeah, like the thing is that every patch of content they're gonna nerf the previous raid tier to their post nerf levels. So I think that that's just how they want it to be, dropping more gear, nerfing the content. I think it'll be more accessible to alts. It'll be more accessible to people who are just coming back into the game, which has been pretty good. Because because a low amount of gear has been dropping, it's sort of been like even if someone leveled to 70 right now, they wouldn't even really be behind this phase very far. We had a shaman come in who just leveled late because he re-rolled for us and he got like full gear in a week and
Yeah.
is just
I mean,
there
how many
now.
void
Yeah.
crystals did I give you last night?
23, right?
Yeah, like
What?
Yeah, from
yeah.
Karazhan.
Oh my
I
Yeah,
mean,
and
god.
just
well,
I mean, my procs are good though. I get 2
The
on a lot
procs
of
were good.
them.
well, and
Yeah.
that's a big proponent of, like, we disenchanted a lot of that stuff, but just just remember, we're in a guild where the majority of people are crafting their BIS items too. If you weren't crafting your BIS items, there'd be a lot more loot for you in Kara. It's just like the loot drops, you're like, well, there's no point in taking this. I have my crafted BIS. And there's a lot of
I need
people that
like
don't have
3
that cash to
pieces.
do that. But I also think it should have went a little bit further, and they should have dropped an extra item as well besides tier in those, because our guild has yet to see a DST. Our guild has yet to see a Blood Ball blade from Gruul, the caster
I
blade.
think
Like,
it
it's
would have been
so
better if they dropped an extra item and not an extra tier piece, right? Because there's a lot of tier pieces that aren't needed as much.
for
I don't
certain
Yeah,
know.
well,
classes.
there'll
There's
be
some
more
overlap.
options though. There'll be more options in T5 for like weapons and stuff like that. Whereas the tier is just like the tier. If you really want that 2-piece set bonus and you just can't get
Right.
it for some reason, it's a little bit easier. But
It's still better than
yeah, I
nothing.
mean, and again, I think it's really trying to just follow the actual TBC. I think that's just a big portion of it is these
Yeah.
bosses did drop 2-tier tokens later. I think they'd be much less open to just like kind of changing how the drops work to make it better for people, because I mean, I think the tier is what most people are complaining about. Our guild also just has really bad luck in 25 mans, I think is really what it comes down to. I've read people who are like their tanks are about to get DST because everyone else already has one.
Oh
So
my god.
Yep. And it
yeah.
Yeah.
it
I do think
also
it's a fine balance, just real quick. I think it's a fine balance for them on speeding up the content versus like continuing the content and delaying it, because
but hold on,
they have to
they're not
they have to
speeding
have
up the
this.
content though.
No, that's what Kim was talking about. Like, do you think they want to speed up the content? And I think it's this balancing act for them of how do we maintain the most subscription as possible? And how do we say this is quick enough to keep people subscribed, but this is not too quick that people feel like we're not capitalizing on our money, basically, right? Like, would they say subscribe for a couple more months until we put that out and we could capitalize on our money? I'm just being the devil's advocate
Well,
here.
I think
I
it's
wonder
a
what
Keep
the
going.
I wonder what the info on alts is as well, because like I feel like honestly we probably have way more alts now than we did back in the day, and like maybe this is probably giving them too much credit, but maybe they were like, oh, it'd be cool if these guys can get their alts geared as well. I don't know,
well, and
but
that's the whole.
think about my alt. I'm just like, it's gonna be nice.
We're in
Yeah.
a
That's true.
weird time too, because this content is actually delayed. We had the phase 2 content that's coming out shortly at launch of TBC, and so that's why they actually made it longer for us. And I think anybody who just has one main is probably upset that they tiered that content. But anybody like me that has 2 characters, I love that I've been able to gear out my PvP tune and been able to do that. I don't know that I would have been able to do that had I been concentrating on everything else in the other raids. So I, for one, have loved it, but other people might not have. And yeah,
I think it's really easy to be bored right now if you only have one character, because it was pretty easy to come online as your main. But I think people underestimate, like anyone who thinks that that T5 shouldn't have been tiered at all needs to think about how much you had to do to get your character online, as far as getting, your heroics revered, getting into the heroics and getting your badge gear. Imagine also at the same time you were able to raid SSC and being able to raid the Eye. I think that first month and a half would have been nuts. I think when we
and
look
just
back,
think about doing the attunements too, which I've been able to do like leisurely. Like,
yeah, I think when we look back, we'll say maybe this phase should have been shorter or something. But having it all come out would have been an absolute nightmare and put people on such different playing fields. But yeah.
yeah. And so we're gonna move on from that piece, and we're just gonna hit the very last piece. We've talked about it a little bit, but I want to clarify some stuff for you. So last week we talked about how the rep PvP gear blues was going to come out in Thralamar, Honor Hold, Cenarian Expedition, the Shatar, Lower City, and Keepers of Time. Now, we told you that you just had to be honored to get these. And that's the way it was when it released in Sunwell initially. Problem is that they're making a little change. They're making it so you can only get the gear if you're revered in those factions, which is something that was never in TBC because it came in Sunwell as a catch-up mechanic. They are going to change it to Honored once the Sunwell patch comes, but just so you know, your alts are going to need to be revered to get this gear in the different spots. So it's a little something that they kind of changed. The other thing is, I don't know why people thought Honor would be reset, but they clarified that Honor will not be reset at the beginning of season 2, so you can bank. Season
I think in
1.
retail it does that. That's probably why they're clarifying. I think
okay,
in retail
maybe.
at the end of the season, Honor turns into like gold or something.
Gotcha.
I could be
Yeah,
wrong, but
that was not the way it was in TBC. You could definitely bank, and I still don't remember if you could bank arena points, but I think you might have been able to do that too. But you're not going to be able to do that here, though. So when season 1 ends, there will be a 2-week off-season period where season 2 then, after 2 weeks, when season 2 begins, any remaining unspent arena points will be converted to honor points at the rate of 1 arena point to 10 points. So if you have 100 arena points, you'll have 1,000 honor. So arena points will be not wiped, but converted to honor. So you will not be able to save those, but you will be able to save honor. So that's the clarification that they changed. There's going to be a 2-week off season. We don't know when that's going to be. It's kind of weird. I wonder if that's going to be like right as the raids come out, so you have time to get like raid gear in that 2 weeks also. Be
probably
interesting.
that's how this phase worked, right?
Are
Yep.
they changing honor gear as well? Like, are they upgrading it to a different
Not
season or
Not, I don't think. Okay, so they haven't told us specifically. There are new things, but I don't think they're coming until phase 3, which would have been the original time we got more stuff, and you'll get rings
Right.
and different things. So honestly, if you're sitting pretty on your gear, you're probably gonna be pretty good. You're probably gonna be able to just spend your honor on season 1 glad gear, which is currently only available on for arena points. So you should be able to be in all purples with
I'm
just
not
using honor.
sure. We talked about this a little bit, but I've heard that people were saying it wasn't until season 3 that Arena season 1 was available for honor.
And that might be true. I'm
'Cause
like,
they, I mean,
they
I
haven't
feel like
really
they
put
would be
out.
mentioning that in these PTR notes, right?
Yeah, they haven't really put out because this is definitely, we are going to have one more arena season than we had in actual TBC. So, or no, we're not. They're actually just like making. Okay, we're off on a tangent. Let's just end this when we know more. We'll definitely clarify, but that's all we know for right now. So probably should hold on to your honor for a little bit just to see
Okay,
if they drop
really
the
quick though,
prices.
it does look like as seasons progress, it's actually a 2-season gap, original TBC, where season 1 items were made at a 15% arena point discount and then made for honor in season 3. So if it follows that, you could probably not expect to spend your honor on. But yes, let's move on.
All right, yes, definitely. All right, guys, let's move into discussion. So this week in discussion, it's going to be a lot of Mel and Kim because we're going to be talking about healing. And I don't know if Yip's ever healed. I only healed for a short time PvP and Cataclysm.
I heal a lot, actually. I healed for all of Siege of Orgrimmar on a shaman, which was, as we all know, 3 years long. So
I thought you were going to talk about like his like warrior talent that heals.
I did too.
All right, so to start off, I just want to go with like overall how different TBC healing is compared to vanilla healing. And you guys, priest and priest druid, but give us just a little kind of overview of like what all changed and what's very different and what's not so different.
Okay,
The
let me
biggest-
start. No,
Mhm.
no, Kim, you can't go because you're gonna encompass everything. So let me start from a more
For sure.
uneducated point of view here. In my mind, the biggest things that changed from vanilla or classic to TBC. Did you mean to say classic, not vanilla? Like,
No, well, it doesn't
I
like
meant to say vanilla
classic
because
vanilla.
classic, I feel like they've made it encompass all of
okay,
what's
okay,
going on
okay,
now. So I talk
He
classic
means from a
vanilla.
year ago,
Yeah,
okay.
classic
from
I'm
what
just
it is
making
vanilla
sure. I'm
now.
to
like, are
classic
you wanting me
CVT.
to recalculate like
Maybe we
back
should have Tim go
in?
instead. Actually, now that
No, no, no. But I guess mine will be short and sweet, right? I think that some of the biggest things are that in classic, it was very easy and kind of you had 40 people and you kind of did your thing and nobody was held accountable for anything, right? Like if somebody died, nobody really knew whose fault it was, right? Like you could kind of go back on the logs and look, but it was like, but who really didn't heal that person? Um, and I think positioning was very different in classic than it is now in TBC. I feel like now healers need to know the fights a little bit better to
And
understand where they need to be and why, and that they can't be inside the mob to get cleaved because apparently that's the thing. But I think that's the biggest difference for me. Also, classic things went so quickly. I could just flash heal my way through life. And that was annoying, but also like the best way to do it. Now it's more so like, okay, I need to conserve mana at the beginning of this fight, so I need to use a down rank of greater and try to proc this. And I think there's a more strategy into healing in TPC than there was in Classic.
I 100% agree with the actually all those points really. In classic, it was really just like, oh, can we just like flash heal people to full and then just chill out? You know, if you're out of mana,
Well,
like
and
no
it
one
was
really
like it
cares,
was like
right? Like,
flash heal because if you didn't flash heal, you definitely weren't going to get your heal off before the person that was flash healing in front of you, right? Like
well,
you were just going to
yes and
overheal, right?
no, I think.
Because there were so many
Yeah,
healers and so much ability to heal that if you didn't
yeah.
have a fast heal, you weren't going to get a heal off.
Well, you really had to be on top of your stop casting at that point, right? Because there's that like if you use any type of raid frames that have the enhanced
Hmm.
where the bars go over their actual
I
bar, telling you
do,
the incoming
Kim.
heals.
I do.
Right, right. But for the public, um, basically when I start my I still do this in TBC, right? It was like when I start my slower heals and I see that within that like 1 second difference between your
Yeah.
two casts, if someone starts like a smaller heal, it looks like I'll just cancel my greater heal right away, right? But if it has gone to like the 2 second mark and I have like 0.5 seconds and I see someone start casting, I'm like, I'm just gonna finish mine. They get canceled theirs, right?
Right.
Um,
But don't you find it frustrating that other people don't do that?
no, it's just more mana for me. Yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
that's fair.
like um, yeah, I think I really enjoyed the slow cast play style mainly because if you start your cast and you end up canceling it, that puts you in the 5 second rule way easier, right?
Hmm.
So your overall mana regen over a long enough fight, like it becomes a
Hold on.
pretty big difference.
Hold on. So, for anybody who didn't catch your episode before, will you explain the 5 second rule? Because you just said cancel spellcast, and the only time I do that is as a DPS is when the mob's
Oh
about to
yeah,
die, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not going to get this off. I'm going to get my Soulfire or uh, my Instacast off or my Conflagrate off.
He's talking to
But
regen
so
mana.
but yeah, but I want him to
yeah,
explain to the public what
Oh,
the
okay.
5 second rule is because that's something that a lot of like casuals might not know.
right. So the 5 second rule is well, I guess now the weighting for the stats between spirit and have changed for at least priest
Hmm.
healing, um, where it's now this weird ratio. Anyway, the whole idea is after your last cast goes off, right? It begins this 5-second timer, where after 5 seconds you begin regenerating mana as normal, right? And the idea is that you can still start casting within that time, and if you stop cast, right, you can basically just like get into the 5-second rule, right?
So
And
you're
Wait,
start.
so
regenerating mana
if
as
you
if you're not in
start a
combat.
cast, wait, if you start a cast,
It
no,
does not put you in
here's
5-second rule. It's
okay. I
only
thought
when
it did.
you no, it's only when it actually goes off, because that's when you use mana. So anytime you use mana, basically,
Got
like,
it.
so if I basically circumvent this type of thing by using inner focus as
Mhm.
well. Basically, inner focus, long ass prayer of healing spell, right?
Right.
That's all time that, like, even if the cast goes off and you have if you have the inner focus up, you spend no mana and you're still in the 5-second rule, which is like a super cool mechanic where the inner focus plays doubly into your mana regen, because one, it's a free fat
Right.
heal, and then the
You're
other thing is you
already
get to
regenerating.
FSR. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, for priests with Primal Moonclaw set, you end up in combat regenerating 20% of your out of combat number, which I'll have to pull it up on Kim at some point in this conversation. But it's actually really important in longer fights to be relatively observant of this, because of the fact that, like, if you don't, like, even if you're doing everything right and you have like 10% overheal, right? If you're not regenerating mana at any point in the fight, you're gonna need a lot of int or like straight MP5. And I should preface this by saying that I think FSR is really important for druids and priests, which are more dependent on spirit
Hold on.
as a regen mechanism.
FSR?
FSR, 5-second rule.
5-second rule.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then I think Pallies and Chamois are more reliant on having the MP5 stat, if I'm not mistaken. Although I have not played either, so if
I
there's
think
someone out there,
druids are more reliant on MP5. I think pallies are more reliant on crit.
okay, the crit thing, I for sure.
I think, and I
also
could be totally wrong on that.
I know
but
Pallies
I
were
feel
reliant
like
on crit in Vanilla Classic.
right.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah,
the
it's
point
nerfed
is
now for Pallies, but yeah.
non-spirit, right?
Non-spirit, correct.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm assuming druids is because of innervate and how that works. But I could be wrong on that. Yeah, that's the whole deal about FSR. I always say FSR, even though 5-second rule is just one more syllable, but whatever.
it's fine. It's fine.
Fine second rule. Yeah, so I guess for my points on what has changed between TBC and like Vanilla Classic is you have priests in particular are extremely robust in what they can do. And I've actually found myself using a lot more flash heal compared to Classic. Because in Classic, I just bombed fat heals and stop casted a lot, and then had my renews fill in the gaps. But I'm finding myself like using a lot of flash heals because the damage intake is just that much quicker. So if you don't flash heal, your tank could just die, right? Whereas before,
Yeah, there's certain moments where it's necessary for sure.
yeah, totally. I also really love, I don't know, even just for the sound effect, prayer mending. I think it's one of the coolest things. If I could have that as my like text tone, I would do that.
Oh my god. Yip
Uh,
loves the prayer
oh
mending sound
yeah, I
effect.
know. I heard. I was hearing that episode, and I
Ting
was like,
ting 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 ting.
Truly
I
terrible.
got to get used to it.
Literally, when I play with Yip, I do it way more often.
Yeah, it's very satisfying, especially on
Awesome.
It
cleave
is.
Awesome. Well,
when there's cleave and you're hearing ching 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 ching. It's like, dude, who's ringing
Yeah.
that bell? Like, damn.
We got this.
Yeah, as a DPS, you like hearing the ching because you're like, well, that might come to me.
Yeah, totally.
But I think it's also important to note that the Prayer of Mending doesn't give any aggro to you.
Yes, very,
And
very
that is a
important to
very
note.
beneficial point of that heal spell. So you can put
Yeah.
it on them before they go in.
Yeah, usually if you're a priest, if let's say you're the only priest in your carrot or 25 man or whatever, like you should basically always have prayer mending up on the tank before they pull. Just it's like a mini misdirect, I guess. Um, Although the scaling of healing threat to damage threat is like I think half, so it's not as amazing. But like, hey, that's threat that you're not getting from healing him extra because he took the damage, right? He's just getting the heal that he healed himself for,
Right.
which is
It still
nice.
gives him that threat, right? It
Yeah,
doesn't give it to
it
us. It
does.
doesn't give it to anybody else. It gives him that extra little boost, even if it's a tiny bit. Like,
Right.
it's still helpful.
And like I was exploring this thought a while ago, but it would have been really nice for reflective shield to be able to provide threat. Like the damage from reflective shield, that would be great, right?
Don't they
Make
add
From
that
displays
Power Word
in?
Shield?
viable.
Don't they
They
add
don't.
that in Wrath
Wait, from
or
Power Word Shield?
Cataclysm?
Can I clarify?
The reflective shield talent, I think it's like 6th tier or something like that in disc. But it like specifically states it doesn't give extra threat. But anyway, that's kind of a non sequitur. I also think that with us being like having shammies now, it's really cool that we also like we have like a hey, I can also AoE heal other groups. Like with Circle of Healing,
Yeah.
it's just so powerful. Like if there's a lot of raid AoE going out, like especially in Care, I'll find it particularly useful to combo like an inner focus with I mean, if given I'm not like running into mana issues or something like that, if there's fat raid damage, I'll go inner focus, max rank prayer, and then right as it finishes, just land a circle on the other group, right?
Mhm.
And this all comes out in heal comms or voodoo or whatever. So your other healer really should like be like, oh, he's healing his own group like pretty fat. I'll just start healing the other ones, and then by the time your cast
But they
goes off,
don't. They don't. Let's be real. I have
depends. It
so many
depends.
times been in a max rank inner focus prayer of healing, and it's like do do do, and then it's like voop voop voop,
Oh
and I'm
yeah,
like,
people grabbing your POH to heal.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
here,
That also pisses me off. It's a thing
I
you
for
can't.
guys have
sure.
you guys have moved on to pet peeves, which I have later which are
Oh, you'll
non-healer
probably get them with
misconceptions.
every
But
conversation. I think
why
is
don't
kind
you
of where
give
we're at
me
right now.
the differences between healing a 5-man heroic group as opposed to a 25-man or even 10-man raid if you want to throw that in there too, but 10-mans are kind of weird.
Yeah, for priests, I think honestly, I would say chamois exist now, so I can't really say that. But I do think that priests are really like the ultimate catch-all 5-man healer, just because
Yeah. Oh
prayer is
yeah.
like both levels of prayer are so powerful. You don't even need circle of healing, right? So if you're just going to do heroics, you can go
5-man.
disc.
Yeah, you don't need circle of
Yeah,
healing.
like because prayer can basically cover everything unless you're really in that like butt clench moment where you have
Right.
to.
Everybody's taking it, and you're like, nah, nah, nah.
Yeah, exactly. um I don't know, it's really really nice to be able to heal like 5-man's relatively easy. Your mana conservation in 5-man is like pretty great because you're not healing all the time because you're not playing the whack-a-mole game so much.
Dude,
um
Shadow Fiend was a game changer too.
oh
Like,
yeah,
let's be real.
I absolutely love Shadow Fiend. I really
I
dislike that
don't use it
has
enough.
it has its own, like it has a mind of its own as well, which is kind
Oh
of
yes.
annoying, right? Like
In
um
5-mans, you have to be careful.
in
Cause
Care, you have to be careful too. I accidentally
yeah.
pulled extra mobs by using it on trash. Like I was like, what? Like whose pet is that?
Like, I don't know. I
I
don't know
don't have
whose
a
it was.
pet.
And then it just
It,
disappears.
it
And you're
despawned.
like,
Yeah,
yeah.
like I don't know what you're talking about, guys. Like NPCs be crazy sometimes, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, Shadow Fiend for sure was a game changer. Recently, I picked up the Mad Alchemist Stone, which is really actually underrated. If you go through mana pots like I do, I know
Mhm.
basically all of us do. Um,
I
it,
will say
And
though,
that
a
is
pro
the
tip.
trinket that gives you 25% more bonus for consumables, right?
I
For
believe it's
specifically Mana Pots 3.
40%,
Is it? Okay. I was
Wait,
just trying
what?
40%, I
to
think.
Yeah, I was just trying to
What?
clarify for everybody listening at home that might not know what that is.
Hold on. I don't know what you mean.
It does also give extra threat when you do that. um,
Yeah. But
so,
wait, what I wanted to say is that pro
uh,
tip, I use a mana pot and then I do my Shadow Fiend and then I use a mana pot again when it's a long fight. Because you have to make sure
yeah,
that you're not using your
capping
Shadow
your mana
Fiend.
pot. Yeah,
Yeah, right? Like think of the
you gotta
cooldown.
spread out. You gotta spread out your uses of like. Yeah, totally. Um, Another random thing that I've been exploring is the Major Dreamless Sleep Potion, um,
Hmm.
which is actually phenomenal with the Alchemist Stone, as it gives you over 5,000 health and mana on one use.
Okay,
Um,
question. So I'm not an alchemist or my priest, but can you use the Major Dream of Sleep Potion when you're in combat? I'm
yeah,
guessing.
just
Okay.
you just got to make sure you don't get hit, or you got to
Right.
let
You're
people
not
know
in.
not to dispel you.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's really the biggest thing. Is like I know we have a lot of really fast dispellers in our guild as
Yes.
well. So
Yes.
in like the larger raids, I really won't use it just because like I mean also the chance of getting hit by like mechanic damage is like pretty high, right? Um,
Hmm.
but
I
yeah, like I generally use Mad Alchemist Potion just because they're so cheap. Um, and they're like just marginally worse than the regular super mana. Um, yeah.
It's funny. I
Well,
use super mana potions, but I don't think I've looked into Mad Alchemist potions.
Well, and
well,
you
you can only use
can't
them as an
get the
alchemist.
yeah, and you can't get the
Oh,
alchemist stone either because it's an alchemist thing, and
okay.
your
So I could do it
priest
on my
is not an
druid.
You can
alchemist,
totally do it on your druid. Yeah, it's
Okay.
basically a free innervate.
and that's
Oh,
consortium rep that you get that pattern, right? Is
No,
that
you
where I
just
saw
pattern
it?
actually,
The
let me
the
recipe. I
no,
have
the
the Mad
stone,
Alchemy.
the mad alchemist
Oh,
stone.
I don't know.
it might be Shatar. I forget. Anyway, yeah, it's one of those things I've just like explored as a side thing. Like uh those who have like played with me kind of know that I have a tendency to swap out my trinkets a lot. So I'll use one, use item rack to queue up the next set, and then by 30 seconds into the next like fight or after the next fight, I'll have another set of trinkets ready to use. I have like 3 or 4 different sets that I
Kim's
really need to
such a
macro.
hardcore gamer when compared to me. If you guys want to know how to really heal, go to
I
Kim.
mean,
If
this
you
is
want to know
what
how to,
DPS do too
Yeah,
with trinkets. Also, we just rotate.
okay, this
yeah,
is not
it's nice.
Mel.
Um, but also like the cool thing about Mad Alchemist Stone is that you can swap it on outside of combat, use your major dreamless sleep, and then pop back another trinket, and it's basically like you just drank in 12 seconds, right? Like it's so fast. But anyway, that's kind of getting off the topic of
Yeah, yeah. But did we actually hit on the difference between
We did.
like did we even hit
well, okay,
25
we
man
talked
though?
about
We
yeah, we
talked
talked
about
about
5 mans.
5 man, 25 man. I'll say I think prayer mending is really I think it's accurately rated. Like it's not I wouldn't say it's underrated, but it definitely should be utilized on cooldown on
Yeah.
boss on fights where like the mechanics will come to kill you, or like especially because
Honestly, any cooldown, right? Like, there's no reason that an
I
instant,
guess
like,
yeah.
heal you when you take damage shouldn't be used.
Oh
And
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not saying I use it on cooldown, but I'm saying that I probably
Prayer
should.
mending is like the choice thing for like prepping into a fight, and like just maintaining.
But don't
es-
forget about
That's
it once you
funny.
get
Like
in the fight.
When I did
Yeah.
PvP healing on a Disc Druid in Kata, like I was basically throwing Prayer of Mending out on cooldown because
Yes.
like it just made sense for there. But in PvE, it probably is very, very different.
Well,
Well,
it depends. If it's a fight that there's a lot of AoE damage or there's multiple people taking damage, I will
Which is
say
PvP.
in 5-mans and 10-mans, I can't tell you how many times I prayer of healing the tank and it goes to the frickin' pet. Like
yeah, that
I
happens.
guarantee it is 80% of the time that
Well,
I
there's a
prayer of healing
hunter
the
somewhere
tank
that's
or
happy.
prayer of mending a tank and it goes to the pet. And the pet
See,
never takes damage, so it just starts to expire.
the pro
Right?
tip here,
Ugh.
is to just heal up the pet so it doesn't go to him. Because
But the
it'll
pet
go to the lowest.
No,
Mel
but the
does
pet
not
didn't
like
even
to
take
heal pets.
damage. Right? Like I do heal pets.
Anyway,
Since you had your void or your like whatever
Felguard.
Felguard, thank you.
oh yeah,
I
Boblin's
have pet
Felguard, right?
bars. I have pet bars on my thing, and they're like twice as big as my like
I mean, for
raid bars, and
hunters
I can't
though,
figure out how to make it better.
it's really important.
Well,
Like
for
hunter pet is a significant part of their damage. I
yeah,
think.
we don't have
I heal
demo
them.
like
I do.
we don't have anybody doing demo lock, but demo lock, if done right, is actually just comparable with Destro and Affliction. So if we had anybody doing that, it'd be extremely important, but no one in our guild's doing it.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say about prayer mending within a larger raid context is that so what boss swing timers are what 2 seconds each, right? The cooldown on prayer mending is 10 seconds and has 5 charges. Pretty ideal for bounce back and forth between the tanks. It does also have a range like soft limit, I'll say. So if they're tanking kind of far apart, you won't see that ideal ching 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 action.
Right.
But like honestly, there's probably raid damage going out in 25 man, so it's like kind of whatever at that point. But it is nice to just kind of see. Yeah.
I
If you
love
don't
how
hear
Kim
the
is just
ching, ching.
I love how Kim is just like paused on video right now. If you're not
Yeah,
watching
right.
live or watching on YouTube, we're just looking at Kim. It looks like he's
I
about
feel
to.
like if you put your prayer of mending out and you don't hear the ching 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 ching, you
It's
have to figure out what's
disappointing.
wrong. It's so sad.
It's
It's so
disappointing. It's
sad.
super disappointing. Yeah.
And this is why I know that pets have my prayer of mending, right? Because I'm like, where is it? I'm like,
Yeah. Also, if they've recalled their pet, like that's just the worst, right? Because like the pet normally gets pawned because it's within range and it has taken some damage, right?
It's
Um,
usually because I put it on the tank.
and it goes to
The tank takes damage, but nobody else takes damage yet. And so it goes to the pet because it's closest.
yeah. I really do a little trick for palm utilization early on is to like if people are drinking, palm lasts 30 seconds,
Here.
right? So you toss it on the tank.
Hold on. I'm sorry, but like the podcast, like lots of people don't know these acronyms, so I gotta ask
Prayer of
you,
mending.
to just say the whole thing, because people complain about that all the time.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, like yeah. Anyway, so prayer mending, you can basically toss onto the tank like while everyone's drinking, and then you start drinking. And then if they pull within that 30 seconds, you have another prayer mending just to toss on them for that extra threat generation, right? Which is really nice. Like, so it doesn't really matter that much if like your first one doesn't go to someone, but like once you're actually on cooldown, that's when you want to see like the bouncing, right?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
yeah.
I usually do that, but it's not as conscious as Kim makes it sound.
Yeah, I mean, like honestly, I had to like.
I think I accidentally do that,
I
right?
had to drill it into myself to make it habit, just because like playing a tank as well, like it just becomes something that's like, Oh, that's cool. I should be doing that. You know.
See,
Yeah.
this sucks because I need to move us on to the next thing, but this is really good. I'm bummed that you have to raid so soon. I wish you could be a little. You are the main tank. You could be a little late. Just
Yeah.
have to deal with it. But
Nah, I'm not gonna
No.
do them like that.
let's
I
talk.
can't do that to them.
All right, let's definitely
Move on.
hit. Let's definitely hit Cadman's question about the difference between PvE healing to PvP healing, because that is a huge difference. I actually had a conversation with Jasmine the other night, and he was telling me that he thinks that having resilience in BEGs is not worth it, where it is worth it in arenas. And I was trying to make the point that if you're unkillable and just healing, the DPS is going to pick those things off because any smart team is going to come for heals. Like, you're not going to usually get teams that, well, you might. I mean, it just depends. But a smart team is coming for the heals and not going for DPS.
Like, that's what we do, right? That's what
Yeah.
we do.
So,
I mean,
just give me some
honestly,
differences.
Okay, can I go first? Because I know Kim
Go for
has
it.
more experience. But
Actually, you might have more experience in PvP healing than Kim at the moment.
okay,
yeah, I mean,
but I don't have priest PvP healing experience. I have druid PvP healing experience, right? And I think the biggest difference for me is that they will come for me. And I feel like no matter what, our teams always know that I'm the healer. And for some reason, our teams never attack their healers, but their teams always focus on me. And that's how I feel. I know that's not correct, but that's how I feel, right? Is that like I am targeted, and if I don't have resilience, I will die
In
very,
a
very
second.
quickly.
Yeah, you get
you
deleted.
need somebody to cyclone you.
Oh, yeah, I've been
That'd be
cycloned.
amazing, actually.
I've been cycloned, I've been sheeped, I've been like anything and everything, right? Like
I feel like a
it,
lot of it too comes down to like who you're in comms with, right? Because if
mhm.
you have the ability and the level of crowd control that we've been running with, like being able to call out like, hey, I need peels, I'm like in the back of BS or something like that. Like I've seen Bob and Yip just like intercept me like on me and take like some of that damage off me, right?
Yeah,
That kind of thing,
and you
especially
call
with
it out. Like
yeah,
lots of heals don't call it out even in comms. They'll basically call it out when they're about to die,
When they're dead.
and that's too well.
that's too late.
Just about to die is too late. As soon as a melee gets on you, you should be calling for peels.
Yeah.
What I
And
try
I
to
will
do,
say, sometimes I feel like you guys know that melee is on me because you're literally attacking the melee at the same time.
We have
But then you go
blinders.
to
We have
another
no clue.
target. I know, but in my mind, I'm like, you were literally just here. So why do you not know that this
at
person's
least
on me?
for me, for warrior, if I need to go back, I intercept and then I just start spamming hamstring, trying to get the immovable so you can
And
actually get away.
I love when you do that too, because it's just like not only does it potentially stun them, it allows me to run maybe at the same pace as them, right? Because I probably have
priests have it
crippling,
hard.
And
right?
something like
Yeah.
that's a Bob tip, something that I've been trying to get used to, but I think it's going to be really good once I get it down, is intervene is something new for warriors, and a mouse over intervene macro is huge because like if I have to try and click on a ally and then intervene to them, that takes a while. But if I could
Intercept?
intervene. Intervene is where
I thought it was intercept.
Intercept is where you
intercept is
charge in combat to an enemy. Where intervene is where you charge to an ally, take the next hit off of the ally, and actually save them. And so mousing over the name and hitting the mouse over macro is actually way faster than trying to click on them. Like when you and I do twos, my intervene macro is just set to auto target you, and I just have to hit one button and it just does it. But when you're in a BG, like that's something that warriors can really capitalize on. It's also a good way to get out of the fight when you're deep in and you're screwed.
Also, as a loot master in Karazhan, it's a good way for me to catch up to the group as I Run up.
Yeah. I mean, like honestly, I've used the charge, intercept, intervene setup. I've done this a couple times actually with Thick, where like I'll be like, yo, bro, like stand right where I'm standing, and I'll charge to one set of casters, intervene the other, and like body pull the last one, and then intercept back to the healer who's standing like right in the middle of like right next to the pillar, right? Basically, right? And I'm able to just like grab everyone without suffering too much, right? And then having the healer pull threat because he's too busy healing me, right? For AoE groups, I think that that setup's pretty nice. Although I think there is like some level of shared cooldown in there, but yeah, like it's pretty noticeable too when I get intercepted in PvP. Like it can make the difference between like
Wait, you
me
mean
taking a full
intervene?
mortal strike.
Yeah, you mean
Yeah,
intervene.
intervene.
Yep,
Sorry.
yep.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Oh my god, all these inters. Um,
Yeah, be careful, warriors, too. If you're at 20% health, you might just get like one shot doing it, but it definitely can
sacrifice your
save.
body for us.
Yeah, we do it all the time for
Yeah,
you. Come
right.
on, give us a bone. Okay, I think one thing though I want to point out is like the main. Are we talking about the Sorry,
Well, I
we talking
guess we're
about the
kind of.
difference between PvP and PvE?
I guess we already talked about PvE, so like just talking about PvP healing is kind of
Okay,
doing the
I
difference. And
mean,
if you want to
in,
point out the intricacies as you talk about it, that's fine too. But I think we're
in
well, I
accomplishing the
think
goal.
in arena, you
yeah,
definitely want the result. Like I get blown up so much faster in arena than I do in
battlegrounds, right?
in BGs,
Because
I guess.
battlegrounds,
We
you
also have
can
another healer, right? In BGs, usually with our group,
right, and
so it's not as bad, but
you can position yourself and people get distracted by a certain battle, right? In arena, they're very focused on there's only three people here. There's only
yeah,
going to be three people here, or two people here, or five people here, whatever it is. There's only going to be that amount of people here. So you don't have to watch your back. Like, oh, maybe they're rotating, right? And so healers have a much bigger target on them depending on your comp. But
yeah, I would agree with that.
in battlegrounds, it's like try to stay far enough away and but try to stay close enough that if you do get attacked, people can come help you quickly. And I think that's my biggest thing is that I'm trying to figure out as this druid character and I'm really I'm okay at PvP, but I'm still trying to figure out like okay, when do I switch to bear? When do I switch to cat? Don't switch to cat when you're getting attacked. Poor choice. And when you have your buttons like right next to each other and you switch to cat and bear and different buttons, yeah, you switch to cat, you're dead.
See, that's
Switch
a
to bear, you
whole
might survive.
another because you basically need a global, right?
To
To
switch,
to
yeah.
switch. Yeah, so it's like
Yep, yep,
if you
you're
just
dead.
started casting, it's like,
Yeah.
well.
No, but like the cast is instant, but yeah, you switch to
Or
cat,
like if you're in the
you're dead.
middle of a cast, oh shit, holy sword.
hmm
I'm trying to
But
get into Kara. Oh no.
but
Um
yeah, I think that that's the biggest difference for me is that arena, I think arena, battlegrounds, and PvE all have very different ways to heal.
yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of instant usage because you really don't want to get locked out. And I think that Pallies in particular kind of get shafted by not having instants like that. Except
Yeah,
of
because
course
you can
lay on
get
hands, but
silenced, kicked, you can get silenced, you can get kicked, you can get like interrupted. Like there's so many things that can interrupt your spells that it's just like a druid is amazing, right? I can just
mhm.
life bloom, rejuve, like move on with my life.
Well, also the I don't know if it's just me, but like I feel like recently when I've been fake casting, like people are on to me, like they'll 80% of the time now, opposed to like a lot more before. Like I will, like they won't miss their kick basically, right? And
Mm,
I
Yeah.
will have just spent like 1 second trying to cast something just to fish it out, right? Which is super annoying. But also, this is really where the multi-spec, like the multi-purpose DPS and heal spec comes in handy too, is because like you get locked out of, like, you can basically try to bait kicks with your shadow spells, right?
Mm.
Which there is one of really that you can cast, but mana burn also like works for that, and it's also slow, so it's really nice to bait people with mana burn.
There's a
Uh,
ton of discipline priests that try to bait you with mana burn. It's a
yeah,
huge strategy that lots of them use.
and then so like you could just bomb heals after that, or like bomb smites or whatever. And if you have the whole crit thing going on, like the SOL build going on, Surge of Light, I should clarify. If you have the Surge of Light build going on, then it's just like, okay, like this is just free casting at this point. If you have enough crit, you could pop an inner focus and just go off on like whoever just locked you and be like, yeah, that's what you get for kicking me. But
Kim,
yeah,
you would have loved it. You should have been. I wish I had a video of me on my druid battling this disciplined priest in arena, and
God, that sounds horrible.
Bob and the other person had died, so it was just 1v1, and it was
uh,
literally this long thing until he just quit.
Yeah, I was
He
like
was like,
coaching her.
"That's
Like
it."
yes,
I was like coaching her, but like half only knowing, like not really knowing what she should do, but just like,
I don't
here,
think
you should try
coaching is
this.
the right word.
You should, yeah. Well, I was just like offering suggestions, and she literally just he couldn't kill her, and then we're like, oh yeah, if you go, it was a priest. It was like if you go to bear or cat,
No,
he
cat.
can't mana burn you. Oh, perfect. You
Yeah.
know, and it
I
was
was like,
just
okay, I'll
hilarious.
just DPS you in cat in my crappy gear. I don't know what these buttons mean in cat, which was a learning experience. I should probably know what those mean.
random question.
I bet she doesn't even know what
spell
combo.
Can you spell reflect Cyclone?
As a warrior,
Yeah.
I think you can spell reflect anything as long as you do it. Like as long as you click it, you have 5 seconds. It reflects anything. Yeah.
I've certainly never done it before.
I mean, yeah, you're not gonna be pulling out your shield unless you haven't respected it, right?
I mean, Cyclone
No,
doesn't
literally,
last very long.
our spell reflect macro throws the shield on and does it at the same time. Switches to defensive stance too.
Do you need the global for that? Extra global for that?
You don't
If
need
you
an
hit it
extra
twice,
global.
you'll get everything done.
And
Yeah,
Here's a
you-
question.
You swap shield, then spell reflect. Yeah.
Okay, yep. He's like, I finally get to talk.
4-1.
Okay, question really fast though. Oh my god, I just forgot what I was gonna ask. I was really concerned about asking it, but now I forgot. Okay, move on.
All right. Well,
Looks like I might actually have to go in about 4 minutes or so. We're all starting to zone in.
before you have to leave, do you want to touch on the? Do you want to touch on the Karas on run where you did
Oh
hybrid
man,
spec?
that's actually one of the things I want to talk about most, just because it's so unusual and honestly, it was a lot of fun and highly effective, I'd say. But basically, the gist of what it was basically in our guild, we've gotten to the point where a decent number of fights we just one heal it. And I had started to build a DPS set with this in mind. Initially, it was because we had 3 healers in Akira, and that's super slow. It's like, what? Oh, come on, right? So the idea was to have a healer have the versatility and kind of be in the middle of both healing and DPS in order to just heal on the fights that you need the extra heals on. And what I found, it was basically a huge experiment, but what I found was that with the gear that I have, at least, which is Spell Strike, Girdle, Ruination, and some Prebis, right? Using the DPS spec on trash is extremely effective because Holy Nova doesn't generate threat, and it also heals whoever. And you can proc crits off of it in order to get your Surge of Light, in order to just like melt down the elites that are there. Yeah, so basically I would shit, I gotta go. Basically what I would do is I would go out and like I'd proc, or I'd Holy Nova the mod, like the whole pack, to grab Surge of Light, target like the one or two, like Skull, right? Skull is usually an elite, and yeah, basically I'd use that to toss instant free cast smites onto them while alternating between Holy Nova and stuff like that. Anyway, it was just like a really cool thing that I feel like it would be nice to explore again at some point in the future. I think having like one power healer and one kind of a person to be carried it's really efficient for me to just be holy right now if that's a comp. But basically if Jazz is my healing partner again, I'm totally gonna do it.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta go. Man, I really wish I had the extra time to flesh this out, but maybe we could do it.
I'll talk a little more about your results since I was there, but
yeah,
we'll have to have you talk about it more.
All right, Kim. Well, thank you so much for coming. Do you want to give any shout outs to your other guild or anything before you take off?
No, I don't really do that.
No.
Shout out to Bob, Mel, and Yip. Yep, you get to go third this time.
I don't mind.
Let's for sure PvP later. Yeah.
We have
maybe.
our horrible 25-man salt raid after this, so we'll see how that goes.
I actually signed up for that, and then I tried to click off my name as a tank.
You can't. It refuses
to
allow you. I know. It's ridiculous. I wanted to skip a week. And I actually signed up, and I was like, guess I'm going.
Yeah.
All right, Kim. Thank you for giving us your time, and good luck in Karazhan main tanking.
Like usual, I enjoy coming on and talking my ass off about healing, which I do anyway when I'm not on a podcast to people that don't really care that much. So it's nice.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Thanks, Kim.
Yeah, catch you guys later.
All right, so here's how it goes down. Kim's like, I want to bring my DPS holy spec into Karazhan. I was like, oh my god, Kim is just too much. He's always trying to do some nonsense, but we let him do it. He has everything he needs. He's got like a Boomkin and an Ellie Shaman and like a Shadow Priest, and his DPS on bosses pretty solid. I think at times it was reaching like 800 DPS, which is like pretty solid. He's not in like any kind of BIS gear. Like he said, he's in crafted and some pre-BIS and stuff like that.
Probably missing out like quite a bit on hit rating too.
Yeah. Now the huge thing for me as just clearing Kara is that we were running one tank and 1.5 healer, right? We had Jasmine the Druid, and then we also had Kim there doing his Kim stuff. At the end of the night, Kim was second in overall trash damage with his Holy Nova spam, which imagine going from having like 2 tanks and 2 healers to one of those healers just outputting the second and it was basically tied for first almost. Tied for first amount of overall damage on trash the entire time, while Holy Nova is also still outputting some AoE healers too,
yeah,
which can help as well.
Does Holy even need to have the hit cap? Now that I just thought about that, there's no resist.
Yeah,
because I think you can miss with it. It's different.
Yeah.
Than
You can still miss. Okay, yeah.
So it's a little different than the resist. But so he did have some hit gear on, but that Kara was incredibly quick. It was actually really sick. One tanking is really cool, and then one healing I think is very possible. There was a week where the reason I knew we could do it is we had Fotis, who was not a supremely geared healer, although I think he's a great player. We accidentally locked out a shaman, Thick Bungus in our guild, locked him out of Nether Spite by accident. So we 9-manned it, and he 1-healed it as a priest really easily. So I think that it's not insane to 1-heal most of the fights. I would only
But you're
say that
gonna
night
need all
main.
of us later, so don't just discount
Well,
us,
Well,
but
yeah, I mean
that's
it might
why
mean
the
alts
hybrid
can come in
spec.
more. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, that's why the hybrid spec is good, but it's also it leaves room for like if you have a DPS alt, it might be easier
Mm,
to get in. Those are just sort of like it opens up Karazhan's to be a little
yeah,
bit different. And there was a while where the biggest problem with running a fourth Karazhan might just be that we don't have enough healers for that. But if someone's able to
yeah,
one heal, having that extra DPS makes things it really rounds out how difficult things can be. So
yeah,
well,
you
and
know,
I
a boss
talked about it,
dying quicker is just super nice.
and I talked about it like not too long ago. Like, why don't we have the resto chamois be elemental and just switch into like healing gear when they want to heal? You know, because that could also have the same type of
I think that that's
effect.
pretty extreme in that scenario, but they can be, and I know a lot of people do. It's not something that we really talk about in our guild at all. But many guilds will have like their holy priests and their elemental shamans casting smite and casting a lightning bolt when they know that the fight's going to be pretty easy. Like Maiden, for instance, Maiden Virtue in Karazhan. I don't think it's that intense healing of a fight. I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem like it is. So having
it's not.
the rest of shaman at least spouting out some lightning bolts, I think can be solid damage. It's something that we talk about a lot in tank chats because we'll talk about like the balance between mitigation and DPS gear. Where okay, I can do more damage as a tank if I put this stuff on, but if a healer could have just healed less and then casted lightning bolt instead, that would have been more damage. You know, like balancing that
Right,
mitigation to DPS of what you can do. I think that it's more of like a guild wide conversation though that like a single person can't really like Kim doing this required the coordination of officers to be like, hey, put me with a good healer. Because normally
right.
Jasmine and Kim wouldn't be together because they're both excellent healers, probably capable of single healing Karazhan. So putting them together feels like a little crazy. But if you have one of them DPSing, it can really make up a lot, especially on trash, which
But I think it's
Karazhan
also
is mainly trash.
right. I think it also gets down to though, like what are healers required to do, right? You said a
Yeah,
new healer came in and was able to one heal Nightbane or Nether's
that
fight,
is
not Nightbane.
it's all the
um,
same.
but I think it's you don't get the full picture of what somebody can do until they're put into that situation, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Because there's a lot of times where I think good healers just don't heal as much because they don't need to heal as much. And that's actually the better plan is to not
Yep.
heal when you don't have to heal. And but then their numbers look low.
Yeah,
And
it's like you
it's
say sometimes would be like, that was such a boring raid. There is nothing to heal.
yeah, like it's sad, right? I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll just renew over here. The locks. Go ahead and life tap, guys. You got this. Like, and I think that it's different, but I think that there's a lot that goes into what is needed in a healing raid. And I think if you give people the chance, they will show you they can be a one healer too.
No, I totally agree. I think that that is absolutely the case. And it's the same thing with tanking as well too, where for me, I was talking about the struggles of our Karazhan last night. It still went smoothly, but the struggle really just ends up me having to just like do more work. like
A
like it's
lot
just
more work.
right. It's like there are some Karas where I can just I don't have to talk. I don't have to I can just
Yeah.
I'm just
It's
on
mindless.
autopilot. Yeah. Whereas like a Kara last night, I'm just like, oh my god, like this is a lot of stuff going on. And luckily I was with a feral druid, so he just bared anytime that things
Yeah.
would get messy or just
And
whenever things
I
felt like
love
it'd be a
your
big pull.
I love your
So
strategy of like every time we express concerns, you're like, oh, we don't need that. We don't even use salvation when we have a paladin. You were like trying to
well,
like
it's true.
make everybody feel like safe.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever, you know. It's Karazhan. We're gonna get through it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's true though. When I have a paladin, I'd rather have people outputting more DPS, because even if you pull, that mob you pull might be dead instead. I still like that more than being like, let's play it safe and make sure we can comfortably get through it. I mean, I sometimes like it. Depends on the mood, though, you know?
Depends on the
If you're doing
class, the gear, like locks.
there's
Like we
so much.
definitely, there's not a paladin buff
For
that's
sure.
better than salve for us, especially at me and
Yeah, I guess there wouldn't
and FJ's gear. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But like for like a rogue or something, having that might can
Yep.
be a lot more DPS, and then on top of a battle shout and stuff like that. So, it
All right,
can be
yep.
pretty nice.
I think our challenge is that we're gonna one tank, one heal Akara. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. I'll put in an officer chat that Mel would like to one heal.
With yeah.
Yes, with you. Yeah, with you. You just get into
You
a
have to
random
go
group.
through this with me, okay?
You're just forced to like you're forced into like some pug that has nothing to do with the guild where you're one healing.
They're
I
like,
didn't.
kicking them out.
This isn't what I meant.
The alt raid. They want me to one heal the alt raid.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. This is I see what's happening right now. It's fine.
You're inspired by the healer talk. You're like, I want to do it too.
I can do it. I can do it.
I have no doubt. Especially, not I don't want to say especially as a priest, but a priest is well equipped to be able to one heal. Nightbane's the only thing that scares me about having one exclusive healer. Having Kim definitely healed for that.
Okay, but if
but-
Bob didn't soulstone himself, it would have been a non-issue. We would have been fine.
That is true. That is true. That was a big whoops.
I don't. On that Nightbane wipe, you mean? The
No,
problem.
I'm
The problem
kidding.
with
I
okay,
had a
well, I was gonna
soulstone.
say-
I rezzed
I was gonna say
everybody,
the
but-
problem with the Nightbane wipe too is that once I lost aggro, the DPS didn't stop either. So I think
Mhm.
like 2 people also died before I could even
Yeah.
like get
Yeah.
back on there. So there was a lot
Yeah.
more than a
Yep.
soulstone required.
But I just
but-
wanted to point out that Bob soulstoned himself. It was like, Mel, you should have a soulstone.
That was pretty funny.
And I was like, I don't. And then was it you, Yip, that you were like, you soulstoned yourself?
No, I
Bob?
think I don't know who it
FJ
was. Maybe
maybe?
FJ or something. I was like, I would never even. I don't care. You know, just
Well,
I was
I
like,
mean,
here
I
to tank.
don't.
you could try it sometime with Kim, you know, and it'd just be kind of sucky because there's 2 priests and we're just losing a buff we could get otherwise.
why-
I think Shadow Priest is good because Shadow Priest like lets you
Mhm.
heal yourself or something with Vampiric Embrace, or heals the raid or something. I don't know what Shadow Priests do, but they help raid healing somehow. And
Well, they also give a ton of mana, so
yeah,
Mana
they do.
regen, I think, is the
Yeah,
thing.
mana is a lot too, but I think they also do some healing as well. But yeah, I think that was really nice. Kim knows a lot about healing.
yeah.
Hope people
Oh my
enjoyed
god,
the-
he's such a big brain. I'm just like, okay, I need to go first because whatever I say after you talk is gonna be completely irrelevant.
Yeah,
Hey,
I wish we
you know-
just could have skipped the whole jab talk and just had extra time with Kim.
Yeah.
Kim will be
And you're
back.
so right. He's whipping off these acronyms. POM is presence of mind, Kim, okay? Palm Pyro, no one's thinking prayer of mending, all right?
That was
Get out of
literally
here.
what I was
I know,
thinking,
I
Palm
could
Pyro.
tell.
And that's why I was like,
You're like,
okay, we need to just
Why
keep
is
this.
Kim palm pyroing people?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just like you
How
just
is
have
he
to
doing
remember
that?
like there's thousands of people that listen to this podcast, like a lot of them don't know.
That are
And
priests.
yeah, and we're not like those YouTubers that constantly say obviously. It's not
Yeah, we're
obvious. I'm tuning
simpletons.
in to
Nothing's
learn.
obvious.
Yeah, like there's nothing obvious. Like I'm tuning into your YouTube
If it was
channel to
obvious, I
learn.
wouldn't turn on your video. Let's be honest.
Exactly. Yeah.
FSR was hard for me because
5
in
second
Diablo
rule, yeah.
2, you've got faster casting rate, which is FCR, and I was like, what? Are we talking about Diablo 2 stats right
Hold
now?
on.
FSR.
Hold on.
Oh man. All right. Well,
Just note, this is what happens after you leave a podcast that you're guesting on. So if you guest, stay till the end, right? Or else we're just gonna rip you
Yeah, we
apart
just
before.
rip you. Till you-
all right. Well, Kim was gonna do our add-on of the week, but I have one. So let's move on.
Wait, can I?
to
Can I? Okay.
what? Go ahead.
I just wanted to give my add-on.
Oh, you can. Then let's move into the add-on of the week.
So this week I have an add-on for.
What? Get out of here. Yip was the only one without an add-on, and he tried to steal the stage here.
I don't even use 80% of the add-ons that I say anymore.
Okay, I don't use a lot of add-ons, or I do, and then I'm like trying to keep them between the two characters, and it's very confusing. But this one, Yip will appreciate because Healbot is what I use to heal, and I got this add-on that is a Healbot threat add-on that shows me all the mobs and who has threat on all the mobs.
Wow.
And it is helpful because I can identify like, oh, okay, this person has said I'm probably gonna need to heal FJ pretty soon here because he's creeping up here. The only problem is it doesn't like if there's 5 people on mob 1, it doesn't show me as many people on mob 2 because it has a cap. But it's very helpful in identifying if I have threat on any of the mobs. And if there's somebody that I might need to heal that has threat on those mobs. So the Healbot threat add-on is awesome.
Definitely
Nice.
sounds worth getting, especially if you played classic vanilla. Healer threat was just a non-existent thing that
It
no
didn't
one ever
happen.
had to think about ever.
Yeah.
And so with TBC Classic, it's a little bit different. It's a
It
little
is very
crazier.
different, yeah.
To be
Yeah.
fair, I had it when I wiped a Sunlight Bane, but
You were
I
looking out,
usually
you were trying to heal everybody, you know. I get it. I think I had a nice miss in there with my shield slam, so the stars have to
your fault.
align, but they definitely do align sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, yep. Once again, not much going on, but long episode. So, everybody who wants longer
We cursed
episodes,
us at the
we
beginning.
did our part this week. So, all right, guys, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. You could also follow the Mash Those Buttons Network at the Mash Network. If you want to get in on this new thing, we have a few people lined up to do interviews with different hosts. Just send us your emails to wcrpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to join our Discord and interact with the hosts of this show or any other show, go to mash.gg/discord. How can you help the podcast? Well, you can help the podcast by telling people about it. That's the biggest thing. I always say that. But you can also help us in the Google algorithm by giving us a review on iTunes, which is also Apple Podcasts. That really helps us get into the Google. Can't do it on Spotify, unfortunately. You can give us a review on warcraftradio.com/directory. It doesn't actually help us get in the algorithm, but it does help warcraftradio.com, and they are good people. So go over there and support them there. You can find other podcasts you might be interested in the Blizzard universe. Thank you so much for that. Where can we find you? Yep.
Hello, you can find me at Cognitive Pit on Twitter or on YouTube, youtube.com/CognitivePit. I've had a revelation that maybe I should change my branding all over to Yip. Want to check Twitch? Can't have a 3-letter Twitch, so I gave up on that entirely. So at Cognitive Pit, enjoy typing that one out. Thank you, everybody. See you
Yip
there.
Pit. Yip Pit. Pit Yip.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
that's just bad. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Are you doing any more with the with YouTube? Are you starting to think about starting that back up again?
I will be soon. I've got quite a few things actually mulling around in my head, but I won't until you subscribe, dear listener, who I'm specifically talking to right now. I've been telling you every week to come do this. I'm just
You're the
waiting for
one
you.
that is holding me back.
I've got 1,000 hours of videos made. Just I need you to subscribe first.
And
my
hit
gosh.
that like button, and don't forget to hit the bell. Mel,
God.
where can we find you?
Can I change my Twitter handle? I don't think I can.
Yes, we've talked about this
Yep, you
so
can.
many times.
All right. Well, until then, you can find me at Melloverwatch on Twitter. You can find me in game on Melarena or Arielena, or that's it. Say hi. And guys, continue to bring the Mel love. That made me feel really good. And it made my whole week worth it.
Definitely. And you can find me on Twitter at blazin_bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. You can also find me on Twitch, sometimes streaming at twitch.tv/blazingbob. Whew, guys. All right. Well, this has been a fun episode, and we're about to go to probably a really unfun 25-man alt raid. So wish us luck as we go into the depths of Gruul's lair.
Yeah.
Have fun in Grolls. I will not be there.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. All right. Oop, should we...
And I'm done recording.
We are
Done.
still live. Should we... Is anybody around? We can raid or something.
How do I change my thing?
Uber Shouts is doing fitness.
Everyone's
I was trying
playing.
to find World of Warcraft people, but not having the easiest time here.
Everyone is playing retail.
I don't even know who this person is, but he's doing. I probably should know who this is because I follow him, but we're gonna raid Just Oro. Do you guys know who that is?
Yeah.
Right.
I've talked to him a few times in Discord.
Well,
Oh,
we're
is he
gonna-
on?
He's
is he in our
doing.
guild?
I have no
No.
idea. He's doing.
Not on Discord, in Discord. Text.
He's
Got
doing.
it.
He's doing SSC. It looks like right now. So give him some love. Tell him Warcraft Reloaded said hi, and we'll see you later.
Bye
Okay,
again.
bye.
For real this time.
In
No, you hang
2
up.
seconds. No, you hang up. No, you hang up.
It's me and Bob. Actually, that's legitimately Kim and Bob at the end of a PvP night.
I know. I
Yes,
just
it
literally
is.
just have to
And
just have to tell him, hey, dude, I gotta go to bed.
Okay.
You're like you said that one night where Mel had to unplug your computer or whatever. You said you're going to bed at like 2 my time, and you were up another